Actually, Jake has to buy me new Uggs because Ginny ate them.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm sorry. Where are your new Uggs already?
Those are not Uggs. Those are Sorrel boots.
Sorry, you're talking about your Sorrels. The dog.
Everyday normal person's podcast.
The dog ate her
see
Sorrels.
my-
Watch your shit, Jake. Don't get it fucking twisted.
Fucking
Those are
get it
fucking
together,
Sorrels, bitch.
Yeah, they are.
God damn, if that's not a clip this week, Colin, I'm slapping you.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan, cause that's what's that? Let's get it.
And just like a red, white, and blue phoenix rising from the ashes of political bipartisanship, we are back to Salt of the Streets podcast.
This is Saturday, June 22nd, 12:29 p.m. Episode 63. Two. Oh, shit. Dose.
So welcome back, everybody, to the Salt of the Streets podcast, your one and only source for social and political commentary on all the weekly news, pop
Got me
culture, and
fucked up.
sports that you can handle. And the best part about the whole deal is all built from the ground up for people like you and me, the everyday normal person. So come down and join us as we discuss life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and continue our endless efforts to bridge the gap between people and information. As always, we are your hosts. I am Colin.
I'm Donovan.
And we are guests.
I even told him, say I'm Jake after Don
Sure, I was
says
in the
his name.
restroom just to cover myself.
I'm Morgan.
AKA the Ginger Ninja. And coming up on this week's show, we're just going to be talking about a lot of stuff.
It's a bullshit show.
So this is what we call our bullshit show. This is like a way for us to relax and just have some fun once a week, or once a month, maybe-ish, every couple months.
We can play That's Bullshit. I have a bunch
we're
made
gonna
up, so
have
we
to.
can do that.
I'm ready.
Fucking A, let's do it.
do that.
So you got a lot to look forward to. There's going to
Experts in
be
bullshit. For sure.
lots of, I'm sure, secrets told, mysteries uncovered, and shit, I don't even know.
Body
It's just going to be a good time.
I'm just making things
But
up.
before we do anything, I would just like to note that this week we put out our very first clip reel, I guess you want to call it, about AOC. And I worked really, really hard on it. And then I posted it. And then we got... So this is... Okay, so we started talking about this before we
really, really hard.
roll it here. So I made it. I
Just by one letter.
I put it out. I did the whole thing. And I'm sitting here. And then Carolina comes home. And I'm like super stoked to show her. Because I have already watched this thing like 3 or 4 times. And I'm like, I'm just super
it
proud of
worse.
this.
Makes it better.
And so I pull it up on, like, actually on the YouTube, and I have her watch it, and within the first 2 seconds, she goes, "You spelled Congress wrong."
Oh, God.
I was like, life-shattering. Like, life-shattering moment. I've never gone from such a high to such a low so fast.
No regrets.
But then I decided that I'm not going to fucking change it.
Nope.
Because it would take me a long time to do that. And it's just more fun this way.
Own it.
Just gonna own it. Yeah.
Not even one letter.
I love
Right.
that, like, you fucked up because your wife isn't from America, and she's like, you fucked up, like that fucking quickly. But it's funny because neither of us noticed. I did the same thing. I watched it several times. Didn't notice it. Jordan noticed it immediately. Morgan fucking noticed it immediately. Carolina immediately.
All the ladies.
Yeah, like what does that say? I don't even know. I wasn't even able to think of some type of smart ass thing to be like, well, this is, reflective of fucking so and so in society. I'm just like, we're dumb. Like I know that just
I think
says
your
that we're
exact
dumb.
response was, damn, I didn't even see it. Yep. Not there.
Oh,
We're great. So, yeah, it's going to be a fantastic show this week. We're happy to have everyone here. Did you have anything in particular that you wanted to start with, or do you want to just start fucking firing through some shit that we have written down here?
The first thing I wanted to ask was just kind of a general question to the room. And I don't know
making
if
me
this
nervous.
is more
a
of
little nervous.
I don't know if this is like an actual, maybe it's a guy thing. I don't know. Morgan can maybe help us out here. But we had talked briefly in the last hour at some point about helping Morgan. Oh yeah, it was Morgan said that if her best friend needed somebody killed,
Yes.
she'd be more than willing to do that and help bury the body.
She said she would shoot someone with a gun,
Indeed,
which is like, that's a big deal.
that's a step up.
For Jess, anything.
And I don't know about you guys, but at least for me, the conversation about how best to dispose of a dead body happens probably at least once a month in my lifetime with random people in the world. But it's always dudes. Now, is that a thing that you like to roll around your mind often?
How to dispose of a dead body?
Yes.
Yeah, like if you needed to,
Yes.
we could totally do
Me as
this.
a guy who thinks about that.
I mean, definitely.
That's why we're in a relationship. I'm his other half.
Maybe. I mean, it's rolled across my mind, but once a month, I think you're borderline
That's so
possibly a
frequent.
killer.
That's
Colin.
so
yeah, once a
frequent.
month is that's a little much.
Well, I will say
where-
it's usually with different people.
Okay.
And it just spontaneously comes up, you know.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of,
we have a
contractors and shit like
conversation
that.
with
and
the
they,
same person too many times, then it's premeditated.
Yeah.
exactly.
You have to spread it out
you
over
know.
the people you know.
DeVito.
Yeah,
Evidence
that's
is
a paper
starting to
trail
build
is
there.
what you're leaving.
Well, I know in my body
Careful.
disposal gang, you're involved because you listen to all those crime shows all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So you know how to do it. But
I've always been partial to like, I don't not to air myself out, but I always felt like if I was going to murder someone and try not to find out about it, I'm going to buy a piece of wood and I'm going to whittle it down into, like, I'm going to lay that down into a bat. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to make my own. Like, I'm not going to purchase a bat.
I see.
You know what
Okay.
I'm saying?
Murder weapon.
I'm going to construct a latex suit. Like, I'm not going to buy one. I'm going to construct one.
Okay.
Right?
maybe one out of neoprene.
I'm all
Or
about this.
something, right?
I'm all about this.
And then I'm going to murder someone with this bat.
Yes.
And burn everything. You know what I'm saying? Like
Does
everything
neoprene
down
burn?
to latex will. That's what I'm saying.
Latex
A latex
will.
will. Like a latex is just rubbery. It'll melt down to fucking whatever.
That's,
the
you're
bat
not
will
allergic,
burn.
right?
No,
Oh,
I'm
good,
not.
okay.
The body will burn down to
Maybe
everything that it will. And then I'll take the rest of it and just,
What's that liquid that you acid? That would be my choice.
That's
Like
your way to go.
acid in the
You gotta have a
bathtub.
special type of container to like an oil drum.
Well, maybe an oil drum. That's
You
better.
can't just put them
Because
in
if I put them in the bathtub, then it's in the plumbing.
As we learned from Breaking Bad, if
Yeah.
you don't have a bathtub, if you don't have
Oh, I
regular
have one.
plastic, it will burn through the bathtub, through to the floor.
Oh.
Have you not seen that?
No.
Y'all
It's
motherfuckers.
rough.
I
Have
only
you seen
know-
Breaking?
yeah,
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
So they put it in like a porcelain bathtub.
On the second floor.
Is
Yeah.
ours porcelain?
And so it
That's not smart.
burns through the
Oh, good.
bathtub
Oh, got a good
into
bathtub.
the floor and then drops through the floor to the
So
second
a rotten
floor, to the
acid
first
body
floor.
like falls through the ceiling.
Half a body, all the acid, yeah. So you got to have the right type of plastic, the right type of container.
I just found out
Also burns.
we have a good bathtub for it.
I mean, I don't know
so.
if that shit is acid proof.
I got
It's
you.
not porcelain.
It's just
Well,
a good
but we don't. But it's not.
Don't
on,
melt a body down in our bathtub. It's just a good bathtub.
It's on the first story though, so at least it won't fall through
I
to
could
the
at least
living room.
there's that. Worst comes to worst, you'll just have to replace your bathtub
Yeah.
with the subflooring.
No big deal. That's okay. I know a
It'll be a
concrete
step
guy.
down bath at that point. There you go.
Exactly.
So there's a tie to that.
God, I hope so.
Generally speaking, we're not going to be killing people, right?
Oh, of course not.
Yes.
But what about a
To be
heist?
determined.
Do you think of ways that you would like run a heist on someplace? Totally hypothetically, like, hey, there's this bank downtown. I'm like, how would I knock that place off if I was going to do it? I've seen enough movies. I've seen
think I'm
Heat,
smart
bro.
enough to do that.
No?
No,
I think
definitely not.
I feel I'm, without being cocky, I feel like I'm pretty smart, but I
Oh,
don't
for
feel
sure.
like I'm smart enough to do that.
I'm in
not.
that
Like,
same boat.
When the movie The Town came out, I was like, I probably could do that. But now I'm like, I don't think I can do that.
Shit,
Well, the town's a little old now too.
Yeah. Maybe the four of us, because I trust
we
you
could-
guys,
yeah.
but you gotta have four, motherfuckers, that you're doing
Yes.
shit with that are
Yes.
I'll take money and not ever say shit about shit.
For sure.
Because they end up killing somebody,
Yeah.
themselves and each other and shit in that movie, and so it's a whole,
It was rough.
yeah.
Whole
I gotta
nother
trust you guys not to shoot me afterwards.
Yeah.
I won't. I mean, I won't shoot you.
Unless fucking Jess asks you to.
Unless Jess asks me. Yeah. If Jess says do it, then it's game over.
Me, on the other hand, I already have places for all your bodies, so that's cool.
He has them marked on the maps.
I'm trying to remember my favorite heist movie of all time, and I'm It's relatively newish. Came out probably 10. Shit, man, it's almost 2020. So probably like new. 10 years maybe. But it's essentially they like.
Who's in it?
I want to say Denzel.
Is T.I. in it?
I don't know.
What do they steal?
But they steal from a bank, right? Mm-hmm. But the way they do it is they basically go into this fucking vault, build a false wall that looks identical to the whole thing, and they're all crammed back there, and they just fucking hang out one day until it's time to break out of their little false wall, go in, steal their shit, and I think they like tunneled out or some shit. I can't remember. I need to find out what the fucking movie was. But
I still think
is it called Inside Man?
Inside Man. There it is.
Look how quick now.
Is that Denzel?
Yes.
Google.
Yeah.
Denzel.
Clive Owen too.
Let's see. Denzel, Clive Owen, Jodie Foster, Christopher Plummer,
Willem Dafoe.
Yep.
It's a great movie, man.
There you go.
Is that Ryan Gosling? Is he in that movie?
No.
What's that one?
I don't think so.
Oh, just kidding.
James
Definitely not.
Ranson. Steve-O. He played a guy named Steve-O.
Steve-O?
But there is no Steve-O.
Oh.
So yeah, it came out in 2006. God, that's a long time ago.
More than 10 years ago.
13.
So it's relatively old.
The 90s still seem close to me. Mm-hmm. Which is why it fucks me up all the time when people are like,
we were
that's
born
a
in the
long
90s.
time ago.
94.
Holla, 92.
What the hell?
90s babies.
I have memories of writing dates on my school papers in like 1994.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Little wee one.
Baby. Yep. Christmas Eve, 94. What I'm saying?
Oh, dog.
Your birthday's Christmas Eve?
It is,
That's awesome.
Yeah. It kind of sucks, but.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
You get presents 2 days
It's not so bad anymore now that I'm an adult, especially like the last
As a
couple years
kid.
before the baby was born. I was just getting fucked up for my birthday. Like I was just like, because Jordan's family, they do their Christmas stuff on Christmas Eve.
Oh.
My family lives in like Shelton, and they used to live in Port Orchard, and so we would get together on Christmas because it wasn't that big of a deal. And so at night, Jordan's family all gets together, and it's a huge deal. And so like 2 years ago, I bought, you know what Rick Simpson oil is? Mm-hmm. And so I bought a whole gram of Rick Simpson oil, and I split it up into 4 capsules, and I took them throughout the day.
Wow.
And I only made it to 3 because by the time I got to Jordan's parents' house, I was so fucked up that I was like, there's no way I am taking another one. Like I took one in the morning with breakfast, and then I went to the Cloverleaf, and I was hanging out there, and we were watching the fucking Seahawks game. And so I was watching the Hawks game, and I was eating pizza, and I took, another one when I got there. And then after I ate, I took a third one. And after like 45 minutes or so, I was fucking sitting there, and I had to piss so bad. And it took me 30 minutes to convince myself, like, go to the bathroom. Like, because I was just so fucking high, that I was like, not paranoid, because I wasn't scared, but I was just way in my head.
Oh, for sure.
And then when I was in the bathroom, I was standing there, and I'm fucking going pee, and my heart is just pounding. I was like, it's like, this is like what someone would feel like if they were gonna die from weed. Like this is how you would feel. Like if that was possible, this is what this would feel like. I was like, and I might be the first one to die from being high. So I just went back and I sat down and I finished my beer, and then we went to Jordan's parents' house, and I was like, I am so fucked up. Like, I'm beyond fucked up right now. So I didn't really talk to anybody. I just kind of like kicked it.
Sat in a corner.
Yeah. Let people come to me and like
hung out with the dog.
Yeah, I was fucked up.
Yeah.
I had a good time. Yeah, I was like, I've been getting high for a long time, so I was like able to be just fine. But I definitely was like, if I didn't do this all the time, I would be scared shitless of how I felt right now. Like it's only because I've smoked so much that I'm able to remember. Like, no, I just took hella weed. Like I took hella Rick Simpson oil, and that's why I feel this way, And it's like when you take a drug, like when you take mushrooms or something, like part of not having a bad trip is being able to remember, like, no, I'm just fucked up. Like I'm just high. Like it's like I'm just tripping. It's nothing is really going on. I'm just tripping. Like you gotta. It's a tough deal.
Bring your focus back.
Yeah. That's like actually something I've grown to really appreciate about the paranoia involved in heavy THC consumption.
Yeah,
is the battle with yourself.
You're living it,
and you're just like, I'm fucking gonna die right now. No, I'm not gonna die right now. Yeah. I'm sitting in my couch. I got Letterkenny on. I'm in a good place. Just chill the fuck out. And then all of a sudden, rainbows and unicorns.
And that's like, I don't know if you obviously
rainbows.
don't have to disclose. Like, I don't know if you guys have done mushrooms before, you know? Yeah. But
I've done 0 drugs.
I'm going to go to
Ever.
Colorado just to get my hands on some.
right, and to decriminalize, that's what's up. Did you guys know that?
I heard about
Yeah.
that.
And I think in Oakland too. Like,
Really?
Right. It only takes one to pop the
To
cherry,
start
and then
kicking
everybody
Right,
else
for
starts
sure.
coming down.
Yeah.
I would imagine Washington's not far behind.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
absolutely.
We
absolutely.
have hella mushrooms here.
Yeah.
And like, it can be, like, I've only done acid like once, and I felt like acid was like if mushrooms is a helmet that you put on for like 8 hours, you know, acid is sunglasses, you know, like it's like easier to take off. It's not as complicated. It's easier to be like, oh, it's just sunglasses. It's like not a big deal, you know?
Really?
Whereas like mushrooms is you're like, I'm fucking in this. Like, this is my whole
Interesting.
world is this
There's
right
no
now.
choice
Right.
once
And
it
it's
happens.
and I feel like acid's a little bit easier to navigate. For me, it was, you know, and it's like a little bit more visual and like not way harder. I personally felt like to get scared on, you know, where like one time. I've done mushrooms a bunch of times, and one time I took mushroom tea, and because I was fucking stupid, Haley's fucking boyfriend at the time, when they were living downstairs in my house, he was fucking picking mushrooms, and I was like 16, and I was like, yeah, bro, I'll fucking eat those. I don't give a shit. And you can die so easily from picking mushrooms that you
Randomly?
don't.
Yeah.
Oh, you just shit,
That's
yeah.
a
And
terrible
Oh,
idea.
he
yeah.
was like looking up on the internet, and it's like, yeah, this looks like this, but we're fucking shit, you know? Right. So we made some mushroom tea. And I didn't expect it to work because I'm like, he doesn't fucking know what he's doing, you know?
Yeah.
But like, I was like, also didn't think enough to be like, well, I might die.
Right.
I'm sure I'll
No
be
big
fine.
deal.
So I drank this mushroom tea and I was watching The Walking Dead, you know? And then I was done and I was sitting on the couch and there was these 3 windows in the living room of like this house that I grew up in, and it was open, and I was hearing shit out this window. But it's the middle of the day, you know. It's like 1 o'clock, so it's sunny. It's like a summer day because I'm not at school, so like
Right.
I'm kicking it, and I'm hearing like growling and shit out this window, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, no way, dude. Fuck that. Like, I'm not. And I was like, no, like, I took mushrooms, like, but I didn't think they were going to work, you know, so I shouldn't have done that. But that's what I did. So I closed the window and I laid down and just closed my eyes. Like, just tried the hardest I could and just fell asleep and woke up. And I was like, I'm not taking any more mushrooms that he gives me. I'm not doing that ever again. And since then, anytime I've taken mushrooms, I've operated off of a total gut feeling. Like,
Yeah.
whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to think about the option I have. And if I feel good in my stomach, I'm going to do that. But if I think about it and it makes me feel not good, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to think of something else. You know, so if I'm sitting there, I'm like, should I go outside or should I just stay sitting here? I'm like, should I go outside? I'm like, yeah, that makes me happy. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go outside. You know? Or if I'm sitting here and I'm like, should I go outside? I'm like, no, that doesn't sound, nope, fuck that. I'm sitting right here. I'm not going anywhere, you know, until I think of another place to go. And then maybe I'll go there.
I feel like that's how I live my day-to-day life.
The last time I remember vividly doing mushrooms, I was in my mom's house with my best friend Trenton, and my mom totally fucking babysat us all day while we fried on mushrooms because she's a great mom.
Best mom.
And
It's awesome.
we had the paint in our living room was totally flat. There's no texture. There's no anything on it. And I took like I ate the mushrooms, and so I'm sitting there and I'm frying and we're fucking bullshitting, and I looked over the wall and I'm seeing just stripes on the wall, you know, just like you would just paint, you know, stripes on the wall. And I looked at Trenton and he was like, what's wrong? And I said, those stripes feel mad aggressive to me. He was like, what? And I was like, I know that there's not stripes on the wall. Like, I know that the paint in here is just blue or whatever. Like, I know there's no stripes. Like, but I'm telling you, the stripes on this wall behind you
They
feel
are there.
mad aggressive. And I would like to go outside now. And so we went outside and sat on the front porch and bullshitted for like a hell of a long time. And we were talking about going mini golfing and stuff. And I was like, no way. Like, I'm way too fucked up. Like, I cannot go mini golfing. Like, I can't. There's two. We did it one time and didn't tell my mom. And so we had to leave because she came home and she was talking to us and I was just frying and I was staring at her and just trying to like hold it together. And so I was like, I have to leave, you know, and we went to go and she asked us for that. She's like, will you get me a Mars bar? And I was like, I don't think that they make those anymore. And she was like, no, they definitely do. Like, they make a Mars bar. So I'm fucking frying, and she's talking about a candy bar I've never even seen before because they don't fucking make them anymore. And she's like, no, they make them. So we went to the Chevron by my house, and we're talking to this Asian dude that owns the store. And Trenton's standing behind me, and he'd never done mushrooms before. And so he's fucking tripping. And I was so stupid, but he's standing behind me with the shit in his arms, and he's going, orange. Like, not loud like to himself while I'm trying to talk to this dude. I'm like, hey, do you have a Mars bar? And he's like, what? I was like, do you like a Mars bar? Do you sell a Mars bar? And he was like, I don't think they make those anymore. And I was like, that's what I'm fucking saying, dude. Like, I know. And the whole time Trenton's standing behind me, and like as we walk out, and he's like, orange is such a weird word, bro. And I'm like, yeah, shut the fuck up. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, we're in the middle of the store, and we sat in the bed of his truck and just watched people at the gas station for like 4 hours. Just in talking about what they were doing, and like it's so crazy that all these people have their own lives, you know, like they're not just like figures in our lives, like they're all doing their own thing.
Coffee, man.
Yeah.
Sitting there
I used to do that
true.
Not for 4 hours. You gotta do mushrooms to do it for 4 hours.
Dude, when I was stationed in New York, my ship would be out, and we'd just be anchored out for the night out in New York Harbor, right? And so, you know, I could see all the freeways that I drive normally and all the stuff. And, you know, New York City, it could be 2:00 in the morning and streets are packed, the whole thing. And so I remember so many nights, like going up to stand like a mid-watch, which was from midnight to 4 a.m. You just kind of standing there doing little things. You got a lot of time just to like sit and think. And I would just watch all these cars go by, and I'd think like every single one of these people's like going somewhere, coming from somewhere. What is their story? What are they doing right now at 2 a.m. on a fucking Wednesday night, driving on like the BQE? What is going on in your life?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question, Don.
Yes.
You just talked. So you have done acid at least once. So is acid a DMT type of trip?
I've never done DMT before. So from what I understand, DMT is like really quick. Like you're only high for like 15 minutes. But acid was like
long haul.
Hallucinogens have never lasted for me as long as everyone talked about. Like before I did mushrooms, everyone was like, you got to commit like 8 to 10 hours if you're going to do mushrooms, and acid is like 12 hours. And I was like, that seems like a commitment,
That's outrageous.
But I've never been high for that long doing any of those things. Even in like, I've done a lot of mushrooms, and I was never high for fucking 12 hours unless I took more during the trip. Like I've taken like, not a quarter. So I guess like, no, I've not taken a fucking obscene amount of mushrooms, you know, but like an eighth is enough for 2 people doing it the first time to split. And I've eaten more than an eighth to myself a couple of times. So I've done like a fair amount of mushrooms, you know, and I've never been high for that long without taking more, you know, towards the end or halfway through or whatever to like stay high for longer. And then when I did acid, it wasn't acid. It was like fucking XJ13 or some weird fucking sister chemical to LSD. Like it wasn't, I don't know, it's like one.
I think there's a weed strain called XJ13 now.
Yeah, so maybe it's not that, but
it's like a fighter jet.
But it's something along those lines that's not actually LSD. It's like a slight offshoot. So maybe it's because I didn't do straight LSD that it wasn't a 12-hour thing when I did acid. But like I said, it wasn't.
Is LSD what the people were on when they wrote Alice in Wonderland?
Yes. 100,000 fucking %
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I now have
pretty
a
sure like
connection to
half
this.
the Beatles songs did
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah, they were super.
Strawberry
into LSD.
Fields. That's my favorite Beatles song.
Yeah, and when I did acid, it was on gumdrop, like spice drops. Like, because it's just liquid that you, because it's a chemical that you
like the things you put
synthesize.
on your gingerbread house?
Yeah. And so you can just drip it on whatever, but it's people generally do it on paper because it's easier. You know, you just little fucking
The old
water
school
paper.
way of doing stamps, right?
Yeah, and then you just fucking break off little squares and you eat it. But yeah, the one I got it was
You eat the paper?
Yeah, it's meant
edible.
to be.
Oh, it's like edible.
It's meant to be.
I thought you meant like a 8.5 by 11.
And it's a tiny,
Gross.
it's a little square. And so you just, like, put it on
but
your
still,
tongue.
I wouldn't want to eat paper.
It
I
dissolves.
don't know.
It doesn't.
Dude, I used to
I'm not
straight
on
up.
that
It's
team.
made to be eaten, so it dissolves. It doesn't. You don't have to chew it like when you were in the 3rd grade and you're
Like,
like, I
would
can
I
eat
get a
paper,
paper
and you
cut?
fucking, like tear a piece off. Like, it's not like that.
Dude, I used to straight pixie sticks, right? They have that
I
little
love pixie
fucking plastic-ishy liner on the inside and paper on it. I used to just eat the whole things. I'd take a whole,
Crap.
and I'd just suck on them for a long time, and then they'd slowly break down, and then
Slowly break down.
Judging
Yeah, I don't
like
do that anymore.
A little,
So,
little bit of
Shane
judgment.
explains a lot.
Shane, who I work with, he's got 4 daughters, and he they will take those like Crystal Light packs, but they're like sugar free, you know.
Yes.
And they'll just stick stir straws in
Yes.
them and just eat it.
Oh, yeah.
Like a fucking fun dip.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing, dog? Like, I know, but you know, they're like, it's sugar free, you know, so it's like all, you know.
Have you
offshoot
tried it,
fake
though?
sugar. I've not eaten just that. No.
You should try it.
Is it pretty sweet?
It's kind of good.
It's the
If you spill it on the counter and you're like,
Yeah, like you take a little, it's not bad.
Is that the millennial
No.
version of Fun Dip now?
Probably.
no, I know. Maybe I'll ask one of his daughters about it next time.
It's I'll get some
Hey,
and
let
try
me get
it.
a little, you know,
Yeah, just try a little
shake
bit.
of your
Little
Yeah,
fucking,
right.
It's good.
your
It's kind of sour.
chunky
Chop me out
fucking
lime of that,
saliva
please.
ridden fun.
It's just like Fun Dip. You just don't have the sugar stick.
So I did want to ask you this, though, because
Yeah.
I can't remember if we talked about this before, but keeping in mind your LSD acid trip,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Back in 1970, June 12th,
Okay.
Pirates pitcher Doc Ellis
Yeah, yeah.
pitched an entire no-hitter
Yeah,
professional league baseball game on LSD.
I watched a 30 for 30 about that. Yeah.
How could you make it through, like, just existing through that time period?
He was obviously a seasoned
Professional.
veteran, both in baseball and in the recreational drug world.
Yes.
Because
Well, it must have put him into a zone, you know, that was just unreachable.
And from what I understand,
It was a no-hitter too,
like
right?
got so
Yeah.
fucked up
Yeah.
he didn't think he was supposed to pitch the next day, and
Yeah.
that's why he took all that acid when he woke up. And then his manager came and was like, "All right, are
yo.
you ready? Like you're pitching, like you're starting today." And he was like, "Oh fuck, yeah." And so he like didn't realize he was supposed to pitch that day, and that's why he had done that. Fuck. But
The late great Robin Williams does a amazing bit about him in one of his
really?
last stand-up specials. I think it's Weapons of Mass Destruction or something like that. It's either that or it's the one before it, but it is fucking hilarious.
yeah,
And I can't imagine. I mean, all those, you're talking tens of thousands of people fucking yelling and cheering for you, and you're center stage fucking throwing a no-hitter game, tripping off your ass the whole
That's
time.
rare too. Like,
Crazy.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
well, and he was saying that at certain points, like he's seeing 3 and 4 catchers, and he's just whipping the ball.
Yeah.
Because he's like,
That's all
I
you
don't know
can
what the
do.
fuck I'm doing. So,
Off instinct.
yeah, so I'm just going. Like I don't even, and that in itself that's wild, bro.
That's impressive.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I've had no
Probably
good.
speaks to the true nature of how athletic he truly was.
Of sheer
You know,
skill.
can just fall back on instinct like that and still
Yeah.
pitch a no-hitter.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Hey, Colin, your brother does shit with horses, right?
indeed.
He has like is that his profession, or he has a job also and does that on the side?
That is his profession. He is
He's a farrier.
Farrier.
right?
He's a farrier.
Is it hard for him to make a living that way, or like
No.
at first?
No, he does all right. Yeah, he's got he works fucking himself to the bone.
It
Morgan
seems
has a
like it's
question.
a niche market, right?
I don't know what a farrier is.
a
Horseshoe.
horseshoer,
Oh,
Yeah.
see, I was thinking like ferry boat, ferry worker, farrier.
Ferryman.
a ferryman.
But it's a hard
Okay, so
industry to
horseshoer.
get into, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not.
Well, once you develop, I mean,
The skill set is hard
yeah,
to
the
get.
skills exactly, but it's a hugely sought after market. Like he has,
yeah. Really?
he has more clients than I'm sure he can even handle.
Yeah.
Like there's so many people with horses and so
Because
many
people
people
don't do
looking
it
for
anymore.
a good skilled
Yeah.
farrier. Yeah, for sure.
Why is it
Especially out here.
I have a. Is he a cousin? It's like my mom's uncle's son-in-law.
So
I guess
yeah,
he's a cousin. Yeah.
AKA
Roughly.
cool dude.
Over, on the other side of the mountains in Daniel, and he's a
Daniel.
hardcore old school farrier.
Daniel's
man.
a good name, dude.
I love that name.
He is a
He's
very cool
American,
dude.
man. Yeah.
Why
He
is
is
it called a
fucking Merca.
farrier?
I'm not sure.
Why?
I'm gonna have to phone a friend on that one.
So say,
I'm
do you
just
want to Google it or do you
curious,
want me to?
like,
I'm
why
not
is it
sure.
I'll Google it. What are you talking
Um,
about?
Well, before you Google it, I want to ask Chad
Ask Chad what it
Okay.
means.
what
Yeah.
he thinks it means
Oh, that's
as a farrier.
There you go.
Maybe I should just
Farrier,
call him
why
and put him
are
on
you
the
a
cast.
farrier?
Ooh, yeah, do that.
Will
Because
answer
Casey,
to be determined.
Casey's dating a girl now who does horse stuff. She's, I guess,
Oh.
like like a world-class barrel racer. Like, she's competing for like
Wow.
fucking millions of
One
dollars.
of our nieces is a barrel racer.
She is.
Hey,
They
Chad.
probably know each other.
I'm sure.
We're, man, I can't hear right.
Yep, let's hear it, Chad.
You're on the podcast right now. We have a question for you. Where did the term farrier come from? As a farrier, I feel like you should know this, otherwise I'm going to judge the shit out of you.
I just got asked that a couple days ago.
And did you have an answer?
Not 100% accurate.
So we're going to do this. We've Googled it, and you're going to give us your answer, and then we're going to see what Google says.
Right. Well,
It's like, fuck you, Colin.
I'm fairly certain it came from the English.
The English, like, okay.
I know it starts from the term farriery.
So that's just like what they dubbed it back then.
I think farriery, or whatever the fucking term for it, has something to do with like ungulate hooves or hooved pediatrics or something. I don't fucking know.
Okay. I mean, that sounds relatively legit to
Yeah,
me,
it could
so
be.
I think we'll take it.
I'm not buying.
Blacksmith.
A blacksmith. There you go. You're just a blacksmith.
Blacksmith.
There you go.
So the internet says historically the jobs of farrier and blacksmith were practically synonymous.
Oh.
Shown by etymology of
Nice
the
work,
word,
Chad.
farrier comes from Middle French farrier, which means blacksmith, from the Latin word ferrum, which means iron.
Dude,
Oh.
so you're just a fucking blacksmith. That is
Nice work,
badass.
Chad.
He's half correct. I'll give him at least a half point.
yeah,
There
he
you
gets
go.
50%.
Because he said it's from
Start.
English, but it's really from French and
We're all
Latin.
the same thing.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey,
well, thanks,
don't,
buddy.
no, that's not a toss-up. That's the actual. That's what he
All
said.
right, bro,
that
we'll talk to
counts.
you later.
I know. It counts.
Hey, this is sort of the streets.
It counts.
The judge rules that it's a half a point.
It is. No, I agree. It's a
The
half a
judge
point.
rules.
For sure. Half a point.
That was
Dude, I
good.
got a little nervous that he wouldn't pick up because, I mean, it's like 1 o'clock on a Saturday.
Yeah.
If he's not working, he's probably in bed because
probably
it's the
ferrying,
only time
yeah.
he
He's
can
ferrying, bro.
Figuring it up right now.
That's a bumper sticker for
Casey
you.
was talking about, because his girlfriend does, crazy horse stuff. He's like, well, maybe I'll just learn to be a farrier and like do whatever. And
Oh.
I don't know shit about farrier. So in my new realm of trying to like, moderate the things that I say, I didn't say anything because I'm like, I'm not going to express doubt when I don't fucking know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Because I don't,
Yeah.
just because I don't know anybody who does that doesn't mean that that's not like a
Right. A
But
legit
if your
thing.
brother's
Yeah,
making
yeah.
a fucking shitload of money or, having
Yeah.
at least good business doing
he does
it,
all right.
Yeah.
then
You
I
know?
don't,
And he...
seems to be worth the time that Casey would put into it.
Oh, yeah. And there's a couple different ways to go. There's a couple schools here and there where it's just another, a senior fair teaching the next generation what they're doing.
You can apprentice
Or-
with a person, right?
Yeah, most of
Yeah,
it's
like, is it
usually
a
like an
trade?
apprenticeship
Do
type of
It's
thing.
a complete, they do. They have schooling for the whole thing. But as far as I can tell, it's
Yeah.
extremely physical. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
dealing with horses and then being
Backbreaking
basically
Well,
a
Casey's
fucking labor.
fucking,
Yeah.
Casey's dirty
He's
work,
short and stout, so that's like a good build for a farrier these days because you don't
Yeah.
fuck up your back as much.
He was
But-
prepping to be a firefighter was what Casey was trying to do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's tough, dude.
Yeah, he's a little
so he's
fucking
fucking-
bulldog of a dude,
Oh, yeah,
man.
dude.
Strong.
He's in real good shape. Yeah, and now that he's
And weirdly
helping-
good at fantasy football, asshole.
Yeah, fuck Casey.
Casey. Like, for real, though, he
We're sitting
cannot
here
be
giving him
invited
props.
back.
Fuck
But
that guy.
he'll be back.
I'm not giving him my money.
I'm so mad.
We love Case Bolson.
I don't.
He's a good
I'm
kid.
bitter.
There was a couple other Tyler and Spencer at work like talk shit about, because like my mom is in that fucking league and there's a couple other people who do whatever. You know,
Yeah,
and so
which I
there's-
love. It's so fun.
It's right. And so they were talking shit, and I'm like, listen, if y'all motherfuckers think that you can really come into a 14-team league and make it easy,
Seriously.
then do it. Like, I
So
know,
true.
I'm more than willing to take your fucking money at the end of the year because
It's
you're not going to come
hard.
here and win. Like, I don't.
It is
I don't-
hard.
Yeah. There is a lot of, not that Lacey is not good because her and then her boyfriend Casey
Oh,
won,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
the fact that they won speaks to skill and also to an immense amount of luck that goes on, that you pick people
Yes.
that don't get hurt or you pick up the right people. Like there's not to discount the skill because there is
It's
skill that comes in
so
to pick up the
hard.
right
But
people.
it's more
to strategize.
gambling than it is.
Yes, but there is
skill, yeah.
so much chance that it's taken in the players you draft and the players
Oh
you pick
my
up. Like
gosh.
it's so much luck that comes in.
Well, it was like the
Definitely.
first year I did real well.
Yeah.
Like I
Fuck
was
yeah, you did.
very lucky, real well. This year, oh my, I think it was like every Thursday night I was just I was so
Just
mad.
angry.
I was
Yeah.
so
Just
angry.
stomping the fuck
That
around
entire
our living
I
room.
was
This is
so
so
angry. Like, and Jake, you know, he knows football, but I like know, you know, there's just a difference in the level of football stuff
I
going
know
on.
what you know. We live,
And, like,
we live text the draft together.
Dang, it is. Oh, it was in this season. I was so mad. There were times where I was texting both of you, like, I'm done. I'm so, like, I'm not even going to try anymore. Like, I'm so pissed off.
And I decided that this year, excuse me, because there was also a question about, you know, fucking like trading and stuff towards this.
Oh, gosh, that was so outrageous.
So as to make sure that people are interested through the end of the season, we either have to implement a trade deadline or there is a penalty for being in last place, so that you have to, even if you're in the loser's bracket, you still want to actively
You still
win,
gotta try.
so as to not have the worst
yeah,
record
yeah.
or the least.
I
amount of
kind of
You gotta,
love
like,
that
buy
idea.
a case of beer for the winner or something.
Exactly.
I kinda love that idea.
So I will. I'm going to put it up to a vote at the draft this year. Like we fucking put in a deadline, you know, which is fine, but also is super unfortunate.
But it
you know,
sucks.
if you
I'm
are
not a fan
in
of
the
that.
fucking winning bracket,
Yeah,
or
no.
even now, you know,
That's what.
or
Yeah.
there's a penalty if you got to buy dinner or buy a case of beer or something for the person.
I like that.
Person that whooped everyone's ass and took your money. You also have to give them beer.
Oh, I'm a big
And
fan.
there it is.
Not only
really
did they
twist the
fucking
I think that's fun.
yeah, so
I like that
I'm
idea
going
a
to put
lot.
that up to a vote this
Get the
year.
thumb screws out.
I miss it. Like, I legit.
can't
So
wait.
I go through.
So you're in this year.
Oh, 100%.
course,
Oh, yeah. I go through fantasy football withdrawals. I don't necessarily go through football withdrawals. It's like I miss it so much.
I think there's like 76 days until kickoff.
Yes, there is.
I'm so excited.
Well, but preseason's even closer. So.
Yeah.
It makes
We're
Sunday
almost there.
like a really important day of the week.
Oh my gosh, so
I
important.
can't wait to watch football with my son.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
so even if he won't care for a couple of years,
He
I'm
won't.
excited to. There's in Jordan's house when she was growing up, you either like watched football with her dad on Sunday or cleaned the house with her, and then
I
it's
love
exactly how it will happen.
Yes.
Like either you're gonna sit down for fucking 8 hours and we're watching football all day,
Yes.
or you can clean the fucking house with your mom until she's done doing whatever and she sits down too. Like, but your mom also loved football, so this is what we're doing
Yeah,
today.
this
Like
is it.
until the midnight or the 5 o'clock game is over. Like this is what we're doing, you know. So it's a red zone until the Hawks game is on, and then Hawks game, and then 5 o'clock games. So
Yes.
and the Hawks have like 4 or 5 primetime games. This
I'm
year.
really
Like,
excited to see what this team looks like this year.
Yeah.
The draft, I was a little PO'd at the draft, but Jake
Yeah.
actually really talked me through that and like the strategy that was going on with all of
I
it.
think there's a lot of potential there. We picked up
so
a
I
lot
think,
of
yeah.
picked up a lot of really good receivers, and I know that Ugo Amadi, who's
Yes.
the corner out of Oregon, who obviously I love because he's Duck, but he was really fucking good when he was there. That I have listened to 710, you know,
Yes,
AM.
yes,
So
yes, yes.
Brock and Salk is my favorite in the morning, so I listen to them, and they have like the professor on and all that shit, and they go to training camp and stuff a lot. So they've been saying that Ugo Amadi's been playing a lot of safety because they've had injury at the position, but they're looking at him at like a slot corner because they're struggling who's going to be slot corner. I've also heard that Shaquem Griffin might not be on the team this
That's
year
what I
because
heard.
they don't really have a place for him
Yeah.
because he doesn't do a lot of like pass rushing that much, and that's
Right.
really what they need
And
is a
that's-
linebacker who can do
yeah.
pass rushing. So it's more down to like Barkevius Mingo. They're going to have looking like they're going to have Michael Kendricks back this year because it doesn't look like he's going to do jail time. He's just going to pay his fine.
Which
Do you
I had
remember
mixed feelings about that.
He did insider trading and it like cost. He had a fine of like $1 million.
He
or something
did,
like
yeah.
that.
Like a
so-
fat fine.
And so so now it's up to whether or not he gets jail
Like,
time.
if he goes to jail.
It doesn't look like he's going to get jail time. And I don't necessarily have a problem with people, especially with like drug charges and shit, you know, that I really don't give a fuck
No,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But, you know, if you fucked around, like I don't agree with it because in the end you're doing America wrong and that's fucked up. But pay your fucking fine, pay your restitution. I don't know that, you know, and I don't know what the monetary cap would be for me where I'm like, okay, you need to go to fucking jail now. That's way too much money.
Yeah, that's true.
But, you know, he didn't get that much money. He was like, yeah, I fucked up, you know, like I did whatever. It was like $2 million or whatever,
that's a lot of money.
you know.
Yeah, for real people, that's a lot of money.
Right.
For a football player, it's like, oh, who gives a shit?
You know, no one's even, you know, if you're an okay fucking wide receiver, you're
But you're also supposed to be a role model. So
Yeah,
And
but
he's a great
there's
football player.
very
he's
little.
a great football player.
Yeah.
There's very, very little like the amount of people that are actually good role models in the NFL is so fucking small.
Yes, it's true. However,
I don't know that I would agree with that. I would argue that the majority of the people in the NFL are good people.
I think you're probably right.
There are
maybe
56 people
But you
on
hear
32
more about the bad
NFL
shit.
teams in this country. I would bar. I'm terrible at math, so I'm not going to tell you what 55 times fucking 32 is, because 56 times 32.
plot a calculator.
But I think that the probability that at least 90% of them are stand-up guys, I think is pretty high.
1760.
1792.
Wait, how much? I just threw in rounded numbers to get close.
No, so 56 times 32. So that's
56.
Yeah, I said 55 at first, but it's 56. So, and I feel like
There you go.
at least 90% of them have to be at least
totally
decent
agree.
guys,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
not stand-up fucking guys. I mean, the charity that they do is absurd.
Oh yeah,
Especially, like,
absolutely.
if you want to break it down to like even fucking race lines, like especially black players do an immense amount for their community.
I feel like
that's
it's probably
about,
the normal problem where all the good that's being done, unless it's extremely extraordinary,
overshadowed by
it doesn't
dudes
get
being
covered. Versus one person fucks up anywhere, then it's like, let's spotlight this.
Right.
So I can see that.
I mean, like Tyreek Hill, he's not even, he's been involved in investigations about like shit with his kid, and he is right now, he's not even being investigated anymore, but he's still going to be suspended by the league probably just because he was wrapped up in it, because they have personal conduct policies and shit, and so it's like, I don't know. Do I think it's sus that his kid showed up with a broken arm and him and his wife are both like, I don't know. I think that's a little bit weird, But if you're truly been investigated and the cops can't prove that you did it, then I have to assume that you're innocent. You know what I'm saying? So I don't
be unfair otherwise.
Weird, but also like Kareem Hunt, there's fucking video of him beating a girl up in a hallway, got signed by the Browns, like 2 weeks after he got cut by the Chiefs. And he's going to be suspended for like 8 games, I think, which I was shocked that in the wake of Ray Rice and all these dudes, that he's only getting 8 fucking games.
I was
shocked that he didn't get at least a whole year suspension.
I can't believe he wasn't just suspended from the league.
Yeah,
like,
indefinitely.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're talking about Josh Gordon, he had like weed charges, and he was suspended indefinitely for X amount of time, and that's how it is with like DeMarcus Lawrence, who's one of the D linemen for the Cowboys. Yeah, suspended indefinitely. He's going to play in the XFL probably because the XFL is like, we don't give a fuck about weed. Come here, smoke all the weed you want to smoke. Join on the sidelines. Get your ass in the game. Get the fucking asses in the seats. Do it. Vince McMahon don't give a fuck.
I'm so fucking excited for that.
The XFL might make it. I will watch spring football.
Yes,
if you have people there, especially if you're going to let people smoke weed, you're going to have a fuckload of people who go and play there who are really good talents that just can't play in the NFL because they want to smoke weed, or they need it to help with whatever the fuck is going on.
Whatever they're hurting with,
because they would rather do that than take opioids that they're going to hand you in the locker room.
Yes.
So
I
don't think that personally that there's anything wrong with that.
No, absolutely.
That's where you're like Arian Foster. Like he has his own podcast. I heard him on Joe Rogan. He talked about the last time he was suspended was because he had a concussion had some type of fucking surgery, and he was in so much pain, didn't want to take pills. His dad went and bought him weed and just brought it to his house. Like, you have to,
right?
And it helped. And he was like, so that's what I did. And then I'm fucking getting in trouble, So he doesn't fucking play football anymore.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, he had played for a long time, but still, like he could have played for longer. If the league would have allowed him to manage his pain and his conditions in the way that best suit him
in a natural way, which is legal.
Again, I wonder what the opioid usage looks like in the NFL.
I cannot imagine how many people take Vicodin in the locker room at halftime and come back out and play the second half. You know what I'm saying? I know that when I was in high school, and my coaches didn't know about this, they weren't giving it to us, but there was kids that were railing Vicodin in the back of the bus in my high school games.
Yeah.
Because they were just dudes that were playing offense and defense. So they're playing literally for 60 minutes, the entire time. And they're getting fucking hurt because we're 15, 16, 17 years old and you're playing 60 minutes of football against kids that are same size as you, bigger than you. Even if you don't have injuries, you're still super fucking sore,
Yeah, you're getting roughed up for 60 minutes.
So they're railing Vicodin and shit before the games to combat it during the game, Wow. That's in high school.
Yeah.
And when you say railing,
is
that
crushing
different?
it up and snorting it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother level.
Rails.
So a rail,
rail.
because it's a line, it looks like a rail.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
To rail it.
Choo-choo. Now we're on the opioid train.
Yeah, you can also especially with pills that are in capsules, people will parachute them. Like you take it, you open it up, and you put it in like a paper towel.
Again, with eating paper, I was going to mention this earlier.
Yeah. You open it up and you put it in a paper towel
Or a tissue.
And just wad it
a little
up.
parachute.
And you swallow it because it dissolves faster.
Interesting.
Quicker.
I mean,
Someone
at
with,
that
like,
point,
beads,
just go
you know?
fully rectal, man. Who gives a
Someone
shit?
with
I'm
like
learning a
beads.
lot.
You can't. You could snort beads, but
Just
I
rub it
wouldn't.
in your eye cavities.
Wow. Yeah, some things you can't unlearn.
I knew kids
people
when
are
I was
weird.
in high school that put ecstasy up in there.
in there.
Yo.
Keisters.
It's supposed to get you crazy fucked up.
Well, yeah,
I
man.
never chased high enough to be like, let's do it.
Yeah.
That just doesn't seem
Here's
worth
this
it to
drug
me,
that's
but
super hardcore, and now we're going to put it in
Could
our
have
body.
Okay,
anything in
let's,
it, yeah.
let's just.
There was even a period
No,
of
no,
time
no,
where I
thanks.
was like doing that, but not putting it in my butt.
I was like,
Not that, but like doing
period of
ecstasy.
time.
I mean,
And
It's
to
a dark
like
time.
to make sure that people that are doing that generally have a problem because there's a reason that
butt.
people do that.
Yeah, because they've done it so long that it like,
Well, there's because when you
it
do that, it
depletes
just
their
absorbs directly into the bloodstream, like
Right.
the purest way you can, so you get the most fucked up about it. And so scientifically, if you reach that point, you're probably gonna have to fucking figure it out because.
figure it out.
I've been watching too much Letterkenny, man. Fucking figure it out.
Yeah,
And-
no, they.
But yeah, I feel like that's probably when you probably got yourself a problem right
So
there.
it starts to like deplete your dopamine or whatever, whatever it is and so you have to do it that way to get high.
well, glad that's not my lifestyle.
That's what I'm saying.
Dude.
I'm real glad.
Keep it clean.
Chewed it up once, but
Keep it
it's like
clean.
the worst taste fucking.
Real
Because it's
glad.
like a soft-ish, it's like a tablet, not a pill.
Yeah, well. Oh,
Yeah, I
that's
don't
like
want any
those
part of that.
kids'
Like a
Claritin
Tums.
tablets. Those
Yeah,
are
like a
disgusting.
Like a
Okay.
Tums.
I took one
what?
because I don't
Yeah,
remember
there's
where
Claritin
we
for children.
were. And I had to take it, and it was
it chewable?
grape flavor. Yeah. Oh. Don't take those, kids. Don't believe your mama. Just don't take it.
Not like the good
They're
old days of the
awful.
Flintstone gummies. Isn't it?
Oh my gosh, they're so bad. Oh,
Kids are
those
getting
awful
fucking
too.
allergies now. They need fucking kids Claritin.
Yes.
What the shit?
Where do you live?
Gotta give them
I'm in
ADD
America.
medication.
I just
Under
don't
a
deal
rock.
with kids, so I
Patrick.
don't know these things.
They probably have chewable Xanax. I'm sure that's probably.
Whoa.
Oh, dude.
That escalated.
Only in California.
Kids have their own therapists and Xanax tab.
I mean,
That is how
fucking-
I am employed or was employed. So don't dig on that, please.
So Xanax is
Giving
what she
children
said.
Xanax.
Yeah, but that's
Whoa.
different. I mean, I'm thinking like the mass of children. So we quit giving them. What was the No, we went. What's
Claritin?
everyone's on Adderall now?
Yeah.
But it used to be
The ADD
Ritalin.
medication.
Ritalin was
Yeah.
the thing, and now it's Adderall. And I mean, I could see Xanax and shit like that for behavioral therapy and shit. That totally makes sense, I guess.
It's just
but-
bad for you.
Negative goes
Adderall
wrong. You
stuff.
have to be over 18 to take that.
You should be.
There's no, I mean,
Yeah, because it's a fucking. I mean,
There's
you have to
no-
have some
Yeah.
some shit.
Like a-
if that's what they're.
and even then, because
I
that
don't-
messes up your development. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I can only. That's antidepressants are a fuck up business because they're all incredibly different and powerful. I was on some for a while. Fuck that shit.
Right.
Yeah.
I would rather feel pain than feel dead inside.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was a nightmare.
So my experience with that, I'm not going to lie, like 3 years ago, I was feeling pretty down on myself, on my physical appearance. I was I'm a skinny guy naturally. And I was at a point after I moved out, back from Seattle, back over here, and I was getting back into kind of restarting my entire life. And I'd come out of kind of a depression, and I was extra thin. And so I went and saw my doctor, and I was described my problem with gaining weight. And so I was curious about pharmaceutical options, steroids or whatever to help me gain weight. And his answer to me was to start me on a really hardcore antidepressant that had a side effect of weight gain.
Really?
And that was what he had me do. And so I'm like, okay, trusting my doctor, And so I started taking that, and crazy shit happened to me. I felt the worst I've ever felt in my life within the first 2 weeks of taking that, and had crazy thoughts and crazy side effects all over the board. And I was furious.
What the fuck?
I stopped taking it, and I never saw that doctor again. I was furious.
Yeah.
What kind of an
It
option
makes
was
me
that?
really sad for our healthcare system.
Yeah, that was his answer.
Yeah.
Horrible.
This is going to totally fuck your mind up and your emotions, but hey, it might give you the results you want and gaining some weight.
The worst
Wow.
part is that people are paying out the ass.
Yeah,
to go to a
absolutely.
doctor and
Yeah.
like, that's like
Sure.
If he goes
shitload of
home and
money,
bills
yeah.
my insurance and
Yeah.
sleeps like a baby. So
If you have it.
what an asshole.
Yeah, if you have it. That's why I like my doctor. I pay cost for just about fucking
we
everything.
gotta-
No
we gotta
insurance involved. And,
Slide me that info. by
oh,
the way.
hell yeah. Pay a flat monthly fee based on your age. Go to the doctor anytime you want.
Based on your age?
Yeah. So, like,
what's up.
you know, the older you are, I
I'm
think
saying, you and I are like,
How?
Yeah.
Can I ask you how much yours is? Is that too
it's
personal?
$45 a month.
What?
Fuck off.
nuh-uh.
And I mean, if I go in
Sign
for
me
say,
up.
like,
And you're 30?
Right now.
yeah,
He's
and I think that
older
carries
than
until,
30.
like,
He's older than 30.
31?
Yeah.
I thought
I'm
I thought
be
you were turning
32.
He's going to be 32, bro.
We're both going to be 32 next month.
They're old.
Yeah.
Like, you realize they're old.
I'm 24, bro. I got like $20.
I know.
That's what's up.
Exactly. That's
never
what I
get sick.
feel,
That's
right?
awesome.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
the numbers have increased.
That's what's up, dude.
These fucking young guns, man. What do we do about this?
You're ruining your
Nailed
secret
it.
here, buddy.
Maybe he'll fix my stomach.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
What day was Dax born?
The 21st of January.
21st.
January. So you had a winter baby,
Yes.
right? And I think that's enough separation from all the holidays and stuff. I think that's a good date to have a birthday, right? It's enough, I think. You're a month out from Christmas, basically.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Roughly.
pretty solid.
Yeah. We're like, 27 days apart from each other as far as like birthdays. And Jordan was super scared, when he was going to be born. Like, I don't want him to be born next to Christmas, and your birthday's next to Christmas, and you hated it when you were a kid. And I was like, I certainly did hate it when I was a child, but because I hated it when I was a child, I can know how to make him not hate it when he's a child and make it better.
There you go.
So I was not concerned about that being the case. I figured if anything, like him and I will share that, like we'll just do cool stuff together,
Yes.
during the month of December as like a celebration of our birthdays together. Like we'll do really cool dad and son stuff because we both have fucked up birthdays. So I don't really think that it's a big deal.
Well, it's always around Martin Luther King Day, too. So
Yeah.
you get a 3-day weekend.
for it, which will be nice. That was Jordan's deal too. Yeah, he was born on Martin Luther King Day
This year, yeah.
That's killer.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, my aunt said "Man of the People."
Yep.
Son, and that's why he was born that day. So
That's awesome.
That's
Yeah, I started thinking about the timing because our baby making will officially start September 22nd.
22nd.
Key.
really.
Yes.
That's because our wedding is the 21st.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was the B word
Well, you got
bride.
a couple of weeks, like before that for sure. I guess she's pretty skinny.
Well,
so
but
you probably don't have
no.
as much time
No.
as
Yeah, and so like that was the deal. It's like, okay, we're just gonna wait because and I say the 22nd because I know the amount of alcohol that we're gonna consume, I'm gonna be a useless individual on the
On the
the evening of the 21st. So we'll have to wait till the 22nd. But I started running the numbers
Preach.
out and I was like, oh, that's like a nice late spring,
Yeah.
early summertime baby.
Yeah.
He's gonna be right in our territory.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
I'm excited with that.
Spring
Oh, yeah.
babies are good. I like spring and summer babies.
Okay, so we go October, November, December, assuming she gets pregnant right away.
Yeah.
October, November, December, January, February, March, April,
Oh, I'm good.
May, June. So yeah, June, July-ish. Can I have my rosé?
We should time it
door.
So cool.
Time it so that it's born between my birthday and your
No, it
birthday
should
in
be.
July. That'd be sick.
Dude, because then it's like
Yes, thank you.
hiking birthday trip in the beginning of the month, the middle of the month, and the end of the month.
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
No.
We're just gonna take a whole month off and disappear into the woods
Oh,
for
that sounds
our
terrible.
If
guys'
you and
birthdays.
Jake
So
go,
excited.
can you leave Carolina with me?
Maybe. I mean, that's her call, man. She's a strong, independent
Shoot,
Spanish
I'm
woman.
sorry. I know.
So
So she can stay with me.
can't make her
definitely.
do anything.
No, I can't. I can't make her do a thing she don't want to do.
Are you an
No.
outdoorsy guy, Don? You like camping, hiking?
Yeah, I like outdoor shit. I don't hike too much. I have fucked up knees, so I don't hike too much. But I love to camp. I do enjoy camping. The why?
Why?
Well, I bring that up just.
Oh, why do I like camping?
Yeah.
Why I went camping a lot when I was a kid.
I like it.
And I'm good at camping. Like, I've always been.
What makes you good at camping?
Enjoying it.
And one, people test, people sometimes have a hard time starting a fire, or they take a fucking long time to put up a tent, or all kinds of shit. And I don't.
Okay.
I've never had a problem with that stuff. Some people fuck their hands up chopping wood, like making kindling and shit.
Also something I couldn't do.
So weird.
What I'm saying.
Like, how is that a thing?
So when I was growing up and I was getting in trouble all the time, there was several times where my mom would buy like 2 cords of wood. So you got to, like, if I was suspended from school in 3 days, so you got to split these 2 cords over these 3 days while you're at home, Split wood like a motherfucker. You got it down, so it's not, so it's no just... problem. Right, so I'm good at camping. I cook shit on a fire. I can do like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's I mean, I can't fucking pick you berries out of the wood that you can survive on, but I can, I can cook shit for us and make the
not yet
all the shit. Not yet, but one day, yeah.
So I don't know when I'm going to be able to do it, but I've been eyeing up these survival courses out of Port Angeles and swim.
Really?
And you go up into the Olympics for like
some
10 days.
Shit.
Yeah,
10 days. Oh my
teach you
god!
Fucking survival skills. There's also a winter survival course too, which I really want to do eventually.
Snow cave camping is awesome.
Jordan and I are also just like, we're best friends and we're very connected. You know what I'm saying? So
as it should be.
10 days, like, I don't know that I would spend 10 days without my wife.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, that's
even
true.
for something I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, that's not. I just don't. It was.
That's how I feel.
When we first got together, it was probably 3 years before we spent a night away from each other.
Yeah, I remember the Florida trip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then she went to Florida for a week, and I was like, I don't
even know how to function
with myself. Yeah, and I watched. I spent time by myself, and like people came to hang out at my house, and I like. It's like, I don't know, I know this is just what we've done. And out there, I'm sure lots of people would be like, that's really unhealthy. You guys should know how to fucking whatever. And we just operate incredibly well together.
Yes.
And she helps me a lot moderate myself and not fuck with people when I'm out in public and not make a fucking fool out of myself and not like, so I've told you before, like there's some shit that, I get upset about it, and I'm just in it before I even know that I'm in it, and it's too late, and I'm already fucking ramped up, and I'm like yelling about something, and it's my wife is one of few people that can kind of hit it off before it gets to that point and make sure that I'm not screaming at a one-handed man in a fucking Dave and Buster's. So long as I've not had too much to drink, there's a tipping point on that where it's like, no, fuck that. I'm not leaving until my exact words to her when we were there. She's like, well, like, let's just go, and I said, I'm not leaving until I speak to a manager. And she said, okay, well, I'm going to go sit outside. I said, okay.
I don't want to be here for this train wreck.
She doesn't like that shit. She doesn't, and I don't think that she would say that it embarrasses her, but it's not a thing where she's like, I'm proud, that my husband is arguing about this, but she understood that, I just spent $100 here and I'm not about to like,
she's okay with just saying, fuck it, I'm out.
And that was my deal I was like, I'm not trying to just stand here a bitch, like I'm trying to get my money back and then we can go,
Yeah.
And that's,
and I think a lot of that, because everybody, I remember I berated you relentlessly during that time. And I feel bad about that, by the way. But, like my relationship was established on the foundation that I was gone 2 to 3 weeks at a time. And so that was just the deal. And we were both, we worked our relationship on that foundation. So it just was. And so somebody who doesn't do that right off the bat, I can see that's like a weird thing for you. It's like, well, I haven't spent a day apart from this woman for X number of fucking years. This is weird.
Right.
And that totally makes sense to me.
And when Jordan was gone, Dan, my boss, said that to me, that he was like, oh, I don't, Robin and I have been married for X amount of time and we've spent 5 nights away from each other at the most, until one of her kids moved away. Like their kids moved away to another state and, like for that, but years, I mean, fucking Tyler is 27, I think, 28, and he's the youngest of their children. So it's from the time that they got married until that long, they've spent very few nights apart. And
we're really good at it. Me and Morgan, we met each other over the internet, we lived in completely different counties. And then when
Across the water.
Yeah, and then when our
counties.
relationship started, it was literally we saw each other 2 days a week. We saw each other on weekends for well over a year.
Yeah.
Well,
And that was-
even we were engaged before
We lived together.
we
yeah,
were seeing
for
each
sure.
other more than 2 days a week.
We were engaged, seeing each other 2 days a week.
Yeah.
And so our whole relationship is built on that as a normalcy.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now, I guess I don't know. It doesn't really bother me thinking about. Like, I don't want to be away from you because I
Right.
like you. You're cool.
But if you got the fuck out a little bit, I
But,
wouldn't
like,
be mad
yeah.
about it.
Well, it's funny because they went on their fishing trip, right? The
Yeah.
first weekend of June, and my first initial was like, yes, like, I get a girls' weekend. I don't have to be scared every time I walk around a corner. Like, it's gonna be awesome. And because Jake jumps out at me all the time, and
It's super funny, man.
gets me
I can't help it.
you guys every time.
I like the driveway brake checks.
Oh my! Have you heard that story? Like the first time Jake did that when we were in, I drove like a little go-kart when we first
It was
met.
like a little Scion toaster oven. Like,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Mini cars, yeah.
I forgot about
Yeah.
that
So
car.
Jake did it to me like the first time I was filling up my gas, right? And so I get in the car and I turn on the car and he screams and I'm like, oh my gosh, is my car blowing up? And I straight like stiff arm him and he hits his
My
head
head bounced
on
off the passenger window. Like it was an instant attack.
But you guys, he
reaction.
still does it. Like he still
You
does
just
that
scream?
insanity. Yeah, just
That's funny.
randomly.
That's fucking funny.
I'll just watch
oh my
her,
gosh,
you know,
it drives
wait till
me
she's
insane.
really in some deep thought on some topic. I'm just really getting heavy into something. Sitting at the counter,
yes.
I'll be like eating some cereal or something. And, fucking drops a bunch of shit.
Oh, that's fucking funny.
It's daily though.
That's
It is daily. So whatever my
you
point
haven't
was.
adapted to that yet?
It's a good
No,
time.
because he's so good at it. Like
You are
it's
going
so,
first in a zombie apocalypse. You
Oh
can't
my
evolve to your
God.
surroundings.
No. Oh gosh, no.
can't
I am
adapt
the
your
first
surroundings.
person gone. It's so funny that you talk about that because Jake brought it up. What was it yesterday? A couple days ago. He was like, "So how do you feel about us like preparing for the end of the world, right? Like because it's inevitably happening because of our environment right now."
Inevitably.
And I was like, I mean, I'm all about it, but I will be one of the first people to
But I
go
can't help it.
because I just like
She's like, I'm not gonna gather shit. I'm not
yeah,
gonna
like
hunt.
I'm not gonna hunt. I don't know what. And I was like, the only thing that would keep me alive is my ginger hair, and simply for reproductive purposes. That's the only thing. Otherwise,
But
I'm
it's a
just
recessive gene.
I'm
those are
out.
not good numbers.
well. But Jake's got it. So if Jake's alive and he keeps, like there's potential
Chances here.
for me to live, but.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm
see,
out.
okay.
Like, there's no way.
I think
But also
that,
still dependent on Jake.
Exactly. Like, I would not live through a zombie apocalypse if Jake was not my partner.
You have to
There's
protect
no way.
her and breed with her.
Exactly.
apparently so.
Exactly. He's got to do all the work.
Have fun.
Yeah. I'm toast. I'm total toast.
What's scarier than a zombie? A redheaded zombie. That's probably
Yeah.
much
Preach.
scarier.
Oh my god.
There it is.
That is terrifying.
That's what I think. I mean, Dax and I could be a great duo because he's a little ginger too. So maybe we
like-
could be super fearful. But
I was really, really scared before he was born about his red hair. But it looks good, I think.
I think it looks good.
Because it's not
I'm
like
biased,
super
but-
red. Not that your hair doesn't look good, but
I mean-
it does. But because I was scared because people wouldn't think he was my kid,
Right.
If he was straight fucking ginger.
Talk to my mama.
Like they would be like, oh, so like, is this like your nephew? I'm like, it's
Right.
my fucking son, man. This is
No.
my boy.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
I know,
for
what do
real.
you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would get really defensive about it because it's my fucking kid, and that's who I am, and I'm a fucking dick, and but it's nice. It's like like an auburnish, like a brownish red type of color, and it's starting to grow back. He lost a lot of it from laying on his back for so long that he would turn his head and like wore all the hair away.
Was Jordan like toe blonde when she was born?
Yeah, blonde when she was born, and then it's like her hair color now is her natural hair color
Yeah.
because she dyed it for so long and fucked it all up, and she can't fuck with her hair anymore, or else it'll just all fall out. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, because when I was born, and same with Carolina, like, we were both platinum blondes.
Yeah.
My brother was
Me
too.
and Colin were like
Now we're
blue-eyed, blonde
darkened
Aryan
a
poster
little bit.
children.
Right.
Maybe how blonde is
A
my
little
hair?
bit.
I don't know. I got massive hat head going on.
Yeah, you do.
But,
You do.
You know, and I mean,
I
Carolina's hair
embrace
is
it
so
on the
dark
podcast.
now.
I take my hat off frequently.
I think my hair might have gotten darker than yours. We had the same color blonde hair.
Oh yeah.
But I can't tell.
Oh yeah, we were
Just a
fucking
little darker.
platinum blonde when we were
Yeah.
kids too.
That's weird.
People thought we
Well,
were
and
brothers
if it makes
for a long
you feel
time.
better, I
People still
take
think that.
our
Yeah.
niece Everly out all the time, and she's blonde, blue eyes, and people think I'm her mother all the time. And Everly will be like, excuse me, that's my auntie. And we were at the post office, and she rolled her eyes and was like, this is my auntie. And I was like, yes, queen, like you own that. Like,
She is such an awesome kid,
She's
man.
so great. And so, but I think, anytime an adult is with a child, it's just instantly assumed that it's, you're there. So don't take it with a grain of salt, because people are just people.
Yeah. So there was one thing I wanted to hit a minute ago, because we were talking about like how you would be like, dude, I'm the first one dead in the zombie apocalypse.
Yes.
Right?
Jess knows.
In the impending doom to come, there is going to be a need for people that cannot defend themselves, and they must be protected because it is imperative. Their existence is imperative to a successful civilization to thrive.
How?
And
How, though?
What do you mean?
Yeah, I
so-
don't understand that.
Especially
To do work at camp? Is that what you mean?
essentially to provide the services and to work.
Not because you're a woman, because you can't
No.
do anything.
Whoa.
I mean, it'll be a combination of, alpha males and alpha females that do the security. And
Your brother knows how to bake. He'll be there too.
He will be so, yeah.
He'll
And then
be
you
at
have
camp.
the
Evan and I will be buddies.
And then you have the beta males and the beta women in camp taking care of other
Yes,
stuff.
I love it.
I'm just
No,
survival numbers, but
100%
your
staff
staff, your
members.
particular skill,
The staff members. Oh, my
they're in the
Lanta.
support
The
division.
caretakers.
Oh, my gosh.
So, I
love it.
That's
But,
me.
but for real though, like you
those
have
bushes
a
trimmed.
good background in, say, like, psychology.
Right.
I do.
And you will be pivotal
able
in
to help
keeping
people.
everyone else that goes out and gets
Same.
fucked up all the time, and their people are fucking dying left and right, and you need to be there to provide, guidance and keep those people from losing their fucking minds. You have a pivotal role to play in the impending
But will it be
apocalypse.
considered pivotal? I don't
Absolutely.
know.
Okay, so
Because
in-
but hold
You're
on.
married to Jake.
Pause button. Okay.
So you're
But
locked
pause
into a space
button. Even today, with our planet not exploding and no zombies yet, my line of work, my career is not pivotal. Nobody values like education or mental health or anything like that.
There's too many people that want to do it.
So why? Excuse you. Why would it? Why would it change when we have zombies everywhere?
Because-
I don't know.
Right now, we don't have the survival threat.
Well, we
to live through.
should.
Okay, so
And
see, that's.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying that's a good point, is the survival threat, the survival instinct in people. I don't think anyone could say who you are really on the inside and how successful you would be in that scenario until that scenario hit.
Oh, for sure.
There's a
Whole new
huge
deal.
chance us three dudes, big tough guys with
die
guns,
first.
and we could all curl up like little sissies,
And I could win.
and fail, and Morgan could just
Yeah.
totally break out of some weird instinctual shell and like lead Mad Max into the future. You know
Hell
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
with my dog by my side.
So I don't think anybody knows what they're capable of, is my point.
That's true.
You don't know what you're
Oh, yeah,
capable of
for sure.
until your life and the people you care about's life is on the line.
But when you
Everything
hit me with the
changes.
hypotheticals of like eating rabbits and pooping in a bucket and farming things, I'm like, nope, I'm out.
you look
Just
at
don't count on
true
me.
stories of survival.
don't
Build
count.
something around the bucket.
But still,
Like a house,
still,
like a shack,
I'm just not.
outhouse.
I'm not
Get a
there.
nice little curtain, and
Even just the three of us, we could build an outhouse in a day. It
I
would
know
be
you
easy,
could.
you know?
I know, but I'm not on board.
And I got to think with
I don't fuck
I'm
with that house. I
just
don't
not
care.
doing that. I'm not.
And I have a problem with where we're at and in our current toilet and like human waste removal.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Why?
where we're at in technology.
Why?
Because we've been using the same
should
shit
be way
for
better.
so long
Thank
now.
you.
We should have figured it out by now.
Yeah.
better
Yes.
indoor plumbing.
What else
We're
should we
talking
do
about
with it?
colonizing fucking Mars here. We're still
Thank you.
shitting in water.
I
Do you know what
preach.
happened
good water.
What are we
before?
supposed to do with it?
I don't know
Purify
yet.
it. They purify
Use it
and
for
they recycle
fuel.
it.
Or
Use
fun
shit
fact,
for fuel?
did
Yeah,
you
use
happen
water.
to see?
Oh, or
water.
poop too. That works.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Fuel, is that a thing?
methane.
Hydroelectric, right?
You create this pit, right? And a collection system that gathers the methane that comes from the shit. And then you just funnel that off, and now you have a methane-powered colony?
That's composting.
You can make alcohol with it. It's called Jankum.
Oh, God.
Toilet wine.
I don't know if that's... I thought that was more like just a drug that you inhaled.
I like
Jankum wine. Yeah, you smell it. But,
guys,
you know.
Yeah,
you can get fucked up off it, I guess, is more my point. If it comes down to it.
But what I'm saying is a zombie apocalypse would give me the opportunity to engineer a better human waste disposal system.
You don't feel you're provided the time now, and that's the
Have you ever looked into
There's no money in it right now.
That's the only thing that's stopping you. Is
what am I going to do?
No,
we can't do it. What are we going to redo the entire infrastructure of the entire country?
Yes, you are.
So at this pace, you'll be 65 before you have enough time to come up with the idea.
No way, the planet's going to explode before he's 65.
So
sure.
Yeah. So I need
100%.
I better hit up AOC and
100%.
Tell her that she better add an addendum to the Green New Deal about working
zombies.
on human waste disposal because we can't be flushing water down the toilet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know if exploding planet is
it's
really
happening.
the future.
It's coming
That's not a very long
next
time.
week.
Why don't we just drill into the core of the earth and just have all pipes just dump into the core?
Do you remember that movie?
What is it? Day After Tomorrow?
Yeah, where the core of the earth stopped spinning and they had to. Do you never seen this? Hillary Swank is in it, and a couple other people. And they build this fucking a drill train that they drill into the core of the earth.
Are they gonna hide a nuke inside of it?
Yeah.
It's called core or something.
And they break off pieces of the train drill and explode them in sequence to
get the earth rotating,
to restart the.
So if you ask my buddy Josh Hagan, I don't know if you guys talked about him on the show down in California. He will talk about that fucking movie forever.
The Core?
He loves that fucking movie. Yeah, I'm gonna tell him that we talked about
the Core?
He's got really passionate beliefs as to why it's the best movie ever.
I am interested to hear that. I would if you're listening to this, which I hope that you get him to.
Yes, we will.
Please email me, reach out to me because I want to know.
You'll meet him. He'll be here for the wedding. Don't worry.
Yes, I want to hear it.
He'll be here for at least
Let's
a week.
drink a beer and you tell me about why The Core is the best movie ever.
Dude, I would fucking love to get Josh on the cast.
That's a smart guy, man.
He is so fucking funny.
I'm not going to take the story from him, but he told me this cockroach story the other day, and he will. I don't know. I don't think I haven't laughed that hard in fucking years, man. It's a good story.
He's one of the best humans to ever walk the earth.
So go ahead.
Yep, let me do it. It's my turn.
I keep jumping in.
No, you're perfect. This is a topic shift.
I'm ready.
Get swifty.
2 weeks ago, you hit up me and Colin on the side, and you told us about experience you had when you were at the Humane Society, right? Were you ready to see you feel I'm okay with?
Sure.
Yeah. So there were some dudes that you ran into, and they were one of them was open carrying, and you just felt uncomfortable, right? They weren't, brandishing their pistols above their heads or anything.
Yeah, and it wasn't just. So, do you want me to set it up, or do you want?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. No, that's perfect.
So my better, actually. My wonderful sister and I, new sister, were at the Humane Society. And everybody at this table knows when I go to the Humane Society, I am there to rescue every dog in there. And
rescue free dog.
Yeah, I just I want. They are not free. First of all, let's clear that out.
That was a deep cut.
They are super not free.
It cost $2,000 after a month,
dude.
Yeah,
that goes to Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Bill Burr.
So,
my dog even came free, and she wasn't free. I'm telling you,
they are so not free. So, anyways, my sweet sister and I. We're at the Humane Society, and we walked through all the kennels. Anyways, we found
cat's $200.
Yeah, seriously. We found her dream dog, and so we went back up front, and we're sitting to do the meet and greet with the dog, right? And these two gentlemen walk in. One of them was open carrying, and it wasn't the fact that he was open carrying; it was the situation that we were placed in,
his demeanor,
and how escalated his behavior was, and just reading body language and everything. And
because you could tell when somebody.
What was he upset about?
So they their dogs had been brought to the Humane Society, had been rescued off the road from someone and brought to the Humane Society. They had run out from their yard or whatever, And so the gentlemen that came to get them back were upset that the dogs were vaccinated before they were put into the shelter, and they had to pay for those vaccinations. Okay. And so the state law in Washington is that before any dog enters a shelter, they have to be vaccinated to protect the other animals. Right. So they were upset that they were having to pay those fees when they're receiving their dogs back, which, if you're a responsible dog owner, your dog shouldn't have escaped to begin with.
Have them anyway. Yeah.
And they should be spayed.
My dog's a little behind, but I know she needs them.
Right, exactly. And so neither of the dogs were spayed or neutered, and so there's a fee that goes on with that as well because they're in a shelter, regardless. So they were very agitated about the situation, and my sister and I were sitting there kind of just observing because we were legit just waiting to hang out with this dog named Zucchini, who's now Cooper. But anyways, so we were sitting there and we weren't uncomfortable until you could cut the tension in the air with a knife, you just felt it. And, their voices started escalating, and one of them kept walking out of the shelter and walking back in, and he was pretending to be talking on his phone. And my sister and I are both in the behavioral science field and mental illness and things like that. So we know how to read a room and read body language and all those things. And
this is, in fact, your profession.
Yes.
Or at least your expertise.
Yes. And so, her and I are just kind of trying to stay calm, trying to not let anything escalate. We're just watching. And we felt really unsafe. And we both came to the conclusion, we're going to come back and see this dog later. We need to leave. And the words, I feel unsafe, legitimately came out of my mouth while we were sitting there.
Yeah.
And so we're both driving home in the car, and both of us are kind of decompressing and processing what happened. And I legitimately said to her, I wish Jake had been there, because Jake has his CPL. He knows, right? Did I say that right?
I like that.
He knows, what's going on. He's a responsible firearm owner, and I would have felt safer in that situation if Jake had been there.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because I think anything was going to happen, but just the fact that I know Jake could have protected me. If something had happened, Jake would have had the means to protect me in that situation. And that was a huge turning point for me in my life, because I have always been so anti-gun. Always. I'm just liberal through and through. I've always just not agreed with it. I don't think they're necessary. But in that moment, I was I understand now why there are some people that feel that they need to have this. And I'm not upset that this is a right per se.
Right.
I'm upset that they are so easily obtainable, but I'm not upset that my partner in life carries and protects me and is a responsible person with that firearm.
Yeah. So I thought that was really, if I was not happy that you had that experience.
Yeah.
Happy that you had that thought process, that's where it was at, and not to a point of I can't believe that guy's able to just carry a gun around with him wherever he wants,
Yeah.
Sketchy. I'm glad that it went in, I feel personally, a more positive and productive direction than what could be a more denigrated direction, and just the idea as a whole,
Yeah.
And what could have caused problems between you and Jake if it had gone, whatever. But, and so I was thinking about that the other day, right? Because I've had mine for 3 weeks, I think, and I've been carrying it with me consistently for 2 weeks, and I was walking out of just a store or something like that the other day, and I just had a thought that I felt more in control of the situation I was in. Not that I didn't feel more powerful. I wasn't I can fucking do whatever I want. It wasn't that,
Absolutely.
But I felt, and even just, I wasn't in a scared situation. There was nothing that was happening that was making me feel I'm really glad I have a gun. I just feel more control of the situation that I am in right now, and I liked that. I liked the feeling of like I said, just more control. If I have more options of things, if scenarios were to happen, and I liked that. I was happy to. Have you felt that way before?
Absolutely. We live in a as much as a lot of people like to think it's a wonderful world full of rainbows and ponies and daisies and stuff, we're surrounded by evil people with evil intentions every day, and you don't realize it.
Yeah.
And so we are not born as humans with claws and teeth and the ability to the ability to defend ourselves naturally. And I don't know. I just feel like it's beyond a right. It's a natural. It's beyond like a right through a country government or whatever.
Right.
It's like a natural right.
A natural inclination.
To carry, to have the ability to have the same advantage as anyone else when it comes. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it feels weird to me when I don't have it. Like that's how long I've carried a firearm now. And I pray to God, like I never ever have a reason to ever take it out, but I can't leave my house without it now.
Right.
Like it's just not something I ever do. I don't take it to places where it's not allowed, obviously.
Right.
Which I have done before. Like I went into a federal IRS building on accident, and as soon as I got up to the metal detectors, I went, "Oh fuck me, I'm going to go to prison." And I turned around and walked right back out, and went home and put it away, and then went back to go do my taxes. But yeah, I think absolutely. And again, it's like what you said. It's not a feeling of power and I'm badass now, and all these people are going to get the fuck out of my way because I got a firearm now. No, nobody needs to know I have it. But
you have that much more control over your own destiny.
Yep, your own fate.
Your own
exactly.
life.
I'm not going to leave anything to chance. If I have the option to increase safety and survivability, why the fuck wouldn't I exercise that option? You know?
And I try and be extra vigilant that people don't know that I have it. You know,
Absolutely.
like that's too suicide because I don't ever think that if someone were to see it, they would be like, hey, I know it makes me uncomfortable that you're carrying it first. You're a fucking stranger. Like, I don't think that anyone would ever say that to me.
No.
Like, and if they did, I would tell them, like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. Like, I just don't give a shit.
It literally happened to me once at a restaurant, and I was sitting in a booth, and my pistol happened to be poking out, and I was leaning forward, and the waiter tapped me on the shoulder, and he goes, "Hey, man, your piece is showing." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, man." I covered my shirt. Like, that's the only time anyone has ever pointed out, as far as a stranger, that I've ever had a firearm, and it was a cool encounter. Honestly, you could have been like, "What the fuck?" and called the cops,
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just to make sure. It's like no one needs to know. It doesn't need to be like a talk. I know fucking. I've shown people will come to my house. You guys, when I was at your house, but it's not like when I'm out in public and I run into someone. I'm like, "Oh, hey, man. Also, I fucking check out this fucking gun that I picked up." It's not something that is like a. I don't know.
You set it on the counter when you're ordering at McDonald's,
Exactly.
Well, and that's what put it into like a huge perspective for me was like, we're at an animal shelter of all places, like where you're, supposed to be excited and happy and rescuing, saving a animal's life. And then you're put in this situation and you're kind of like, I sent Jake a text when we were sitting in that lobby and I was like, "Hey, are you home?" Because I was freaked out. Like Jenny and I were freaked out. And he's like, "No, I'm at work. What's going on?" And I was like, "Okay, we're just going to leave." Because, I was going to ask him to come down at that point. It probably would have been 20 minutes before he was there. But still.
Well, I'd have done it in 10.
It was, it's just like that situation. It was a super, and I remember texting you guys the same day because I was like, I needed to process it and get it out, but it was also such an impactful moment in my life because it made me really appreciate
every week. Sorry, let's go.
Jake's,
so I have 10 of them.
Jake's responsibility and Jake's desire and willingness to protect, but also do it in a way that's right. So
yeah,
that was crazy. That was a crazy moment.
So I wanted to ask you guys your opinion. Last week we talked about, and you may or may not have listened to it, it's totally fine if you didn't. We talked about Eric SwallWell, who is a candidate for Democratic candidate for president, right? And he is talking about what he's calling an assault weapons ban, right? And so he's talking about, any, military style assault weapon that's, semi-automatic rifles, that he's using the same slightly more specific, but still generally vague language, right? That's
on repeat.
Still ill-defined. It's not, because we've talked about it before, Colin and I specifically, when we've talked deeply about guns, that one of the big problems is that, like, assault rifle is not defined well enough anywhere for it to be used as a definition in any type of anything, In a general discussion, like, you and I were both talking about guns, whatever, we could use it offhandedly or whatever, but it's not a technical term that you could use, certainly not a legal term you can use when you're trying to craft legislation, you know? So I was curious as to what your guys' opinions were, if you're willing to share them on that. And we read it last week, or at least an article that had most of it in there, that, he wants a forced buyback of all the ones that are already existing in the country to pay people. I think it was $1,000 up to $1,500, something like that, for what that, which I'm sure there is a whole bunch of fucking rifles that cost way more than $1,500. You know what I'm saying? That's and then, for them to not be sold at all anymore. And so I was curious as to what your guys' opinions were, if you were willing to share them. And we talked about it, obviously not in favor. That's ludicrous for the reasons that I just shared with you. That it's not defined well enough. It's not good to decide what people can do, and to force people to get rid of things they already have. It's a whole other deal. So,
I have 15 different subcategories of reasons of why it is absolute bullshit.
Right.
The whole thing. I guess try to summarize a couple of them. History, for one of them. Disarming the population is the number one cause of lots and lots of dead people. You know what I'm saying?
Australia.
Yeah. And
not like countering that.
Oh, yeah, well, I don't know. Okay, so
I didn't mean to start a debate.
No,
just the curious.
No, because we love each other.
Oh yeah, we bitch about this to each other all the time.
Oh, I am sure this is not the first time this conversation's been had.
Definitely not. There's usually been a lot of wine involved too.
Absolutely. Yeah, why don't you give your...
no, you go first. Okay. You go first. I'll keep my mouth... No. I'll keep my mouth shut. I'm sorry. I should have interrupted. You go first, and then I will
so happy I
chime in.
Okay, so I'm a huge advocate for gun ownership and owning any and all styles and types of firearms. As Americans, it's our right. I also am on the side that I do believe there should be and can be some slightly stricter regulations in acquiring them and training for them.
Can I ask you, not to interrupt you, but do you have any limitations as far as fucking RPGs and shit like that, like people owning those?
I have absolutely no problem with it. But as the more hardcore it gets, the more training and regulation needs to be acquired with them. You're owning silencers and fully automatic weapons, which, as most people don't know that are super against that is a hell of a process
to get to own a fully automatic weapon. Absolutely.
And silencers, it's insane to go through that as easy as everyone thinks it is. It's not fucking easy. It's not easy at all. But regardless of that,
when we talked about even for me to buy my pistol, it took me almost a fucking month, waiting for the CPL and everything. But even if I had a new stuff to fax in a background check, which can take a month anyway. It's not, you can't just walk in, and walk out the same day with the pistol that you're like, I like this one. It is not that easy. No, and it is touted as that very frequently. That it's easier than fucking buying a book. That you can just go in and buy one, and it's not. Especially in the 1st of July, even just buying a semi-automatic rifle, there's a 10-day waiting period mandatory. Not including your background check, all the whatever. And when you have your CPL now, you can do an instant background check. They can just look it up online. Starting in July, you have to do a faxed-in background check, even if you have a CPL, every time you buy.
Every single time.
Yep. Even if it's a pistol or semi-automatic rifle that fits into that category that they have laid out in the new bill. Shotguns and stuff like that is still fine. But, bolt-action rifles. But as far as, so I thought that was interesting. Like you said, it's not as easy as it's made to be.
Not as easy at all. And I've owned guns. My family's owned guns my whole life, and I have absolutely no problem. It's not a huge hassle to me if they all of a sudden required, okay, you've owned guns your whole life, but now we're instituting this new law where you need to take a training course before you purchase any new firearms.
Yeah.
Or there's more stringent background checks or whatever. I don't fucking care. I'm a legal owning firearms, I don't care. If that takes a little extra work to get another gun, go nuts. If it keeps people safe and it's the right thing to do, why would I bitch about that?
Yeah.
Being a problem. But completely limiting my access to them without giving me the opportunity to prove that I'm a safe, intelligent, and sane person to own these.
That's a problem.
That's a huge problem. And I don't trust I don't trust governments. I don't trust neighbors that I don't know.
Right.
Let alone the overlord who's going to tell me what I can and can't own to keep myself safe while they're
to decide how safe you are.
And then, they're going to be the ones who protect us while they're, pointing drone cameras at my house, ready to blow us to hell because we own whatever. Yeah. So anyways, that's my, I'm going to weird.
No. I don't.
You know what I'm saying? So
they're going to kill you. It's going to be quick.
Absolutely. I just, I don't believe in people telling me that I can't protect myself with the same stuff that they're able to come after me with,
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's the whole point of being a U.S. citizen is the right to the same amount of safety and peace of mind as much as possible, I guess I'm saying. So,
I like that a lot.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's a good way to tie it together.
Yeah. I can rant and rave and go into weird rambles about that.
No, we'll do that another time. We'll do that at your guys' house next time.
He can do that.
Anyways.
All right, Morgan, what you got?
I can't do it.
Do it.
Okay, so when I first met Jake, I'm going to put this into context a little bit. When I first met Jake, I was anti-gun everything.
Right.
No guns. I believed everybody should not have one. The only person that should have it is someone who has had the training and the military background to require that weapon. My viewpoint has shifted some because of having Jake in my life and him educating me and being around the conversation and the physical gun. I'm looking at it right now itself. But I still I think all of Jake's points are super valid, and I don't have the blinders on anymore where it's like, no, I can't hear that side of the argument at all.
Which is really good.
Yeah. So I like
you a lot.
Thank you. Because I don't have that anymore. I do think though that if someone has the desire to have an automatic weapon, that they need to go through that same training that someone in the military has to go through to carry that weapon.
For sure.
And I think that's where Jake and I really meet on that middle ground is that we really do believe, I don't want to speak for you, but I really do believe in the strong background checks and the training and everything that goes along with it. Because I think it really does take a very specific type of person to be able to be able to carry that weapon.
Yeah.
And be responsible for that weapon. And I don't know, like my grandpa had guns my entire life, my uncles, I've been around them my entire life, but I still just had the blinders on, because I was so against all of it, and coming from the public education background and everything, just these school shootings and everything, it's so aggravating to me that it's still happening. And I don't necessarily blame the gun anymore necessarily.
Yeah. As the person who's holding it.
Exactly. And I'm such a huge proponent of stronger background checks and training and classes that are necessary to be able to have the weapon, because I think there's such a huge and high level of responsibility that goes with carrying that on your person that you need to have someone teaching you how to have that,
And I told you, I thought it was interesting that someone who has even less experience than I do could do the same thing that I did and buy a pistol and go home with it and then do whatever. I think that's pretty interesting.
Well, and that's what Jake said.
He said to prove any type of proficiency at all. They'll just, and it's not, they'll hand you the gun at the store. You've never held a gun before. You don't know how to put the slide back. You don't know how to put a magazine. Nothing like that. So you just look at it. You may not even know to look through the sights or anything. You're like, word, let me get that one. And you can just go home with it after the background check comes. I think that's very interesting.
Well, and that's the problem I have, because I have never touched Jake's weapon before. I've never held it. I've never held a gun. I've never shot a gun. I've never done anything like that. But I could go to a store and go through the process and purchase one and be holding it okay, now what do I do?
When you being 18, over 18, you could go and buy a shotgun today, and even an AR-15 today until July 1st. And walk in day of and walk straight out. You know?
And that's my problem.
Yeah.
That's my problem right there.
And I think I'm not afraid to get a little political right now.
After background check.
But I think that might be part of the problem in the gun control debate is nobody has common ground.
Yes.
Really. But if you frame the conversation in a way that says, hey, I want you to carry guns too. I just want to make sure that the right people are owning them. Not we want to make sure that the people that we are allowing, I guess, quote unquote, probably the wrong word, but to carry, weapons like that, we just want them to be in the hands of, the right people that it's going to be safe with. And then I know that as a society, I'm safer. And that's, even if I don't want a gun myself, I feel like that could be a common mindset for people.
Yeah.
How can we get to that place?
Right.
And I like that. If that could be the tenor of the discussion, it might actually be a fruitful conversation.
Yes.
Well, and that's the negative about modern media, and the positive about the type of shit that we're doing is that you don't have enough time in 5 minutes to express anything other than an ideology on either extreme side of the debate, where it takes a 2.5 hour podcast or TV show for, to have a conversation long enough for you guys to be able to have a conversation for an hour to be like, okay, I understand what you're saying. I see how maybe I'm thinking a little bit too radically. And even him, he could be like, well, maybe I'm thinking a little bit too radically, and maybe we can both come a little bit this way,
Yeah.
You can't do that in 5 minutes and 10 minutes, even a fucking half hour. Like, it takes more time. I'm sure neither of you know exactly how many times you've talked about fucking guns before.
So many
And it's taken that many times for either of you to move however far you have.
Yeah.
So it's not something when it's something that's so serious, like abortion. It's not something that can be discussed in a half hour, between two people who don't fucking know each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. You know? Can I ask you, Colin, how much rifle training did you do in boot camp before you moved on to A school?
Mostly focused on pistol, but rifle, you probably spend about a day of training alone just to learn nomenclature and cleaning and operation and safety. The nice thing about firearms in general is firearms safety 99% of the time covers about 99% of any firearms that you as a civilian will touch.
Right.
So, it's the same basic rules. Don't point the barrel at anything unless you intend to kill or destroy it. It's just the same basic rules. Always assume that it's loaded, the normal things.
Right.
But once you learn that, you learn the mechanics of them. And then there's, a whole aspect of just the concept of aiming. That works. Again, that's universal to a pistol and a rifle. Different methods, but the idea is the same. You need to be able to punch straight, and you need to know that you can't be scared of that kickback that's coming. All the little things like that. But then, we probably spent a day on what were we shooting back then? M14 probably, something like that. I don't remember.
More time on pistol?
Yeah, more time on pistol, because that's generally what we were going to carry anyways. And, but yeah, especially because once you start to shoot a rifle, you find out it's pretty goddamn simple. It's a lot of finessing to get better. But to be able to put a shot down range at 50 yards or something like that, most people can reliably figure that out pretty well. You can hit a broadside of a barn. But there wasn't too much training,
It was just kind of get this area.
Yeah. And then you got to remember too, in boot camp, you're immersed in training 24/7.
Right.
And so it's kind of hard to really transfer that level of training over to like a civilian world. But, a good solid one day should do you.
Yeah.
And I feel like I would feel better as a citizen, as someone who's not educated very well on guns. Like, I would feel better knowing that people have to take a class before
Yeah.
Holding one. You know, like I have to take, how many months of driver's ed do we have to take before we drive a car? I know that's totally different, but it's like, you know, like I would feel better if there was some type of class involved.
And I would counter that. I got my license when I was 18.
Right.
I didn't take driver's ed because I didn't have no fucking money. So when I took it, I took my driver's test twice and the written test once, and then they gave me
and then there's your license. Right, for sure.
I drove without a license for fucking years, rode dirty as shit.
Right.
And, you know, got 2 tickets for it and then got a license.
Yeah.
But you don't think about that driving down the road. You don't think that every one of these motherfuckers around me, the hundreds of cars that you pass driving to work in the morning or something like that, you have no idea how good a driver they are. And they're driving a fucking, you know, I don't know, 1,000-pound fucking cage right at you at 60 miles an hour.
When you see them doing some crazy shit.
Yeah.
The other day we're coming down
Brushing
the hill, coming out from down Paulsbo, down that big, I don't know what that main drag is, coming down from Walmart down to Paulsbo. And it's 4 lanes when you're coming down because you got the 2 turn lanes going left on Bond and the 2 straight lanes going up into Paulsbo.
Yeah.
4 lanes of one direction traffic, 2 lanes coming up. And we come down the turn lane and there's a motherfucker sitting in the 5th lane over facing the wrong direction waiting at the stoplight. He's sitting in oncoming traffic.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You didn't even realize
getting ready to turn left. You know, so now there's 3 rows of cars turning left, and this guy is in oncoming traffic, just chilling there at the stoplight.
Yeah.
And on there,
I was like, Jake, what is that car doing? He's like, what do you mean? It's someone.
That's fucked up, dude.
Either too many,
what the fuck?
Too many bong rips for breakfast, or that guy didn't get his license.
Dude. When I was in Long Island, I had a situation one night, and I can't remember. Back when I was young and single, I used to do this a lot where I would just I'd get bored at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I'd drive to fucking Starbucks, hit on my Starbucks girls because there was a single Starbucks that I dated probably 6 workers out of there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a weird time in my life. But then I'd get coffee and I would just drive in the middle of the night because there's no traffic, you know, I'm just cruising. And I'm bombing down the highways. I'm not speeding or anything. I'm just cruising, listening to music. And in Long Island, the main arteries, you know, running east and west are 2-lane roads, 2 to 3 lane roads on each side with a median in the middle. So you cannot cross over. Yeah. There's cloverleaf intersections every few miles or whatever, but that's it. And I'm cruising around and all of a sudden I see some fucking headlights coming on my side of the fucking road. Fuck. And it starts to get closer and closer and I'm starting to kind of freak out going, what the fuck's going on here? It's like, obviously this dude's hammed up. He's twitching on something, you know? And so I played it safe and I pulled off to the side of the fucking road right before one of those cloverleaf things. So you got concrete protecting you head on. Yeah. I fucking shut my lights off because, drunk people are attracted to light and shit. And, you know, you just drive right there. So I shut everything off. And this motherfucker he's swerving down the freeway, going the opposite direction.
Wow.
The next morning, I get up and I'm going to work. And I see his car fucking plowed in to one of the concrete, medians in the middle, and his car is just fucked.
Wow.
So that's point terrifying. At the night, he got something bad happen to him.
Smashed into it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fucked up.
Yeah, so that shit's... Man, nobody thinks about that kind of stuff.
No, and now I hate that I did that for so long because I should have taken it more seriously because now I've it almost causes me anxiety to drive because I know that people don't take it seriously. You know, I know because you see it all the time. People fucking texting while they're driving and shit, you know? And it frustrates me because we were just talking about it yesterday, and this is exactly how I'm going to frame it to Dax when he's driving. It's like, you don't get to do that because you don't get to make that decision for other people.
Else, yeah.
You don't get to decide for them that they're going to die that day or they're going to take someone's life, you know? You don't get to make that decision for them. No. That's not, you can make all kinds of decisions in the world, but not ones that impact other people like that. You don't get to do that. So you don't get to drink and drive. You don't get to text and drive. You don't get to any of that shit because you don't get to make that choice for someone else. And if you fucking, as much as I love my son more than fucking anything in my life, if you are drinking and driving and you kill someone, I will not bail you out of jail.
No, yeah.
You made a choice for someone else that you don't get to make. And I'm not going to do that. You know, I don't. And I'm sure that there's 1,000 people that would be like, oh yeah, you fucking say that until he's in jail. But when I was growing up and I was going to go out, my mom was pretty lax. She would be like, just be home before I wake up in the morning. You know, and I was like, word, that sounds good to me, you know?
But she also said, if you go to jail, don't call me because I will not come and get you. Like, I don't have money to bail you out. I will not come because you have fucked up. You made your own choice and I'm not going to do that. So call someone else, you know? You can call me if you want, you know, and if it's for the right shit, like I'll come and back you. But if you made a choice like that for someone else, I know that's on you. I'm not going to do that, you know? And I will instill that in him from the first time that he even talks about driving until the day that he drives by himself and I'm not there to do anything about it, you know? And for every day after that, you know, like, just remember, don't be safe. Like, I say the same fucking thing to Jordan. That, like, she doesn't text and drive, she doesn't anything like that, but she is an admittedly distracted person, you know, that she likes to look at stuff and like whatever, and every time like, be safe. Like, I know, you know, she's obviously much better now that there's a fucking baby in the car, but when she wasn't, you know, like even before, you know, when we're driving around,
I do that to Carolina too. No matter what happens, I always say, be safe. Yeah. If she's going to Albertsons, if she's coming home from work, anything like that, because in my mind, just by saying that and have somebody read that, they will be that much more, you know, subconsciously even, that much more aware and, you know, attention paid to possible dangers. Yeah. Right. You know, which I absolutely love.
So my mom, hi mom. Hi, Mom. She always told my brother and I still, to this day, neither of us live with her. Every time she knows we are going somewhere, she says, make good choices. I love you. Yeah. And it's no fail. I can tell her like, okay, I'm on my way to work. I'll talk to you later. Make good choices. I love you. And my high school sign language teacher, Mr. Galt, I doubt he's listening, but
shout out Galt.
Mr. Galt, I will love you forever because he was the one. He, at the end of every class, he would sign and verbally say, make good choices to every single student that walked out of his classroom.
Oh, that's cool.
Because you could tell he genuinely cared about you and he genuinely wanted you to make good choices and be safe. And it's kind of, you know, like it's funny because I still hear him. It was kind of his ritual. Like he would do it every class, but Fridays were like his day to really make an impact and really to say it. And still occasionally Fridays, I hear his voice occasionally every Friday, like make good choices. And I'm like, whoa, that's weird that it's still like, I have not been in high school for 10 years now. And I still hear his voice. Like that's impressive.
So I don't want to take away from that in any way because it's powerful.
But here we go. But here it is.
When somebody said
that guy was a prick.
But fuck that guy.
But he was, no.
So, no, but when somebody says make good choices, when have you ever, I don't know, in my personal experience, when have you ever made like a serious choice and gone, this is a bad choice and I'm going to fucking follow through with it? Do you know what I mean? You always think at the moment what you're doing is probably the right thing to do. How do you know you're making some fucking horrendous mistake at the moment until after the mistake is made?
It's all just in the subconscious, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
We're chalking this one up to something deeper.
Make good choices, it's like, well, I always try to make good choices, but you know, the shitty ones I make, I don't know they're bad until after I've made them. So.
I mean, really though?
I think that I can only think of like a couple of exceptions to that, and one is like I sold weed for like a while.
Okay, yeah.
You know, and that's like a thing. Like when you start doing it, you're like, I know that this is not something I should be doing, and then you just continue to do it because you've accepted already. Like I'm not supposed to do this, but I agree on the whole that.
Or when you're 15 and light a bottle rocket and point at your friend, like you know, this probably isn't a great choice that I'm making.
You've got 5 seconds to really, be like, will this be okay? You know, probably. Like,
so more in like a broad sense, what I meant by that.
Oh god.
No, I agree. Very few exceptions, but that's
but the fact that someone who's not related to you or doesn't, you know, like you know, he gives a shit.
I know. I like that a lot. That's why I said I didn't want to take away from that at all.
That's awesome.
When I was in high school, I got suspended. I think I talked about this on podcast before. I drew this picture and it was the whole deal. So I got suspended for 90 days. And when I was gone, I had to ask all my teachers, you know, if they would send me work.
Right.
You know, because I can't go to school. And I was such a little fucking prick that I only had two teachers that would send me work. And Mr. Huff and Mr. Chapin were the only two that even more willing to be like, yeah, you were a fuck, even in my class. But, like, I don't want you to fail high school because you were a dick, you know, like, because you're 15 and you don't know any better. And you made a dumb fucking mistake that has cost you half a fucking school year.
Yeah.
And so they were the only two, you know, that would send me work. The other ones were like, fuck you. You were an asshole in my class, and I'm not sending you work, and if you fail, I don't give a shit, you know?
Yeah.
And it's important. It wasn't up at that time, but it's important, I think, on the whole, you know, in general, for kids to have a teacher, at least a couple, that actually give a fuck, you know, because so many of them are, for any number of reasons that are and are not under their control, you know, just don't give a shit. You know, if you're not getting paid enough and your benefits are fuck and you're, you know, no one appreciates you, it's really hard to give a shit about what you're doing, you know? And it takes
real hard.
And I do not at all take away from that. It takes a special type of person to be able to withstand that and still go to work and still try and still do extra shit, you know? And it's the people the guys who do that or the girls who do that and then coach fucking 2 sports and do a bunch of other shit that make enough money that they're like, okay, this is also financially worth me investing over half my fucking time to do this, you know? And it's really important. I can also speak personally from being someone who just felt like no one gave a shit, you know, to have at least one person who's like, no, I'll try, you know, like if you'll do it, you know, I'll send you the work. Like I don't, you know, Mr. Huff was like, I don't think you'll do it, but if you bring the work back, then I'll send you more work. Like I will do it, you know? So that's a big deal.
I had this teacher, the 7th grade math teacher, who is one of my best friends today. Like I babysit his children. That's how close we are. And he's the only math teacher I ever got above a C in his class. And he, like I said, he was my 7th grade math teacher. He got me through 8th grade math. He got me through 9th grade math. He was my tutor through high school. He was my tutor through college math. Like he cared. And that was such a pivotal point in my life because my parents were starting to separate and going through a divorce. And I felt, you know, just like you said, like nobody kind of really cared. It was just, you know, get her through.
Right.
My dad was very high up in the school district. And so the teachers had this expectation of like, oh, Morgan, she'll be great. Her dad's blah, 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 blah. You know, she doesn't need extra help. And this teacher, Mr. Adams, he got me through. And he was the only teacher. I mean, I had great teachers. Don't get me wrong. Like I had great teachers, but he was the one teacher that I knew I could count on any time of day. And he established Tutor Tuesdays just for me. And luckily other kids showed up. But, you know, cause I was so bad at math. And later in my career working with children with autism and stuff like that, I've been a math tutor. And that's because of the time he invested in me. And so I think this is such a weird tangent that we've gone off on. But like teachers are so pivotal.
Teachers are so rad, man.
In like every facet of life. It's insane. Like there are so many moments where I'll be working at a wine bar and I'll hear my sign language teacher say make good choices, or I'll hear Mr. Adams be like, okay, your 20% tip is yada yada. This is how you solve it. You know, like there's so many things where I'm just like, dang, these teachers made such a huge impact in my life. And you don't realize it while you're sitting in their classroom. Like, when does the bell ring? Okay, 17 more minutes. You know, you're just counting down the time. And then here they are. And I sit back now and I'm like, dang, these teachers did so much for me and really super duper like shaped who I am. And now and he'll text me and be like, hey, can you babysit? And my answer is always yes. Like, I don't know what day it is. I don't know what time it is. But whenever you gave me so much at such a pivotal point in my life, like I will move a mountain for you.
I had no experience with that, with a teacher. I had one teacher in junior high, Mr. Kaufman, the shop teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Who was a fucking rad dude.
I never had
But he was just
teacher.
cool because he knew my brothers before me. And Brenton, he was calling me Brenton. And we just had a cool relationship, and he was always a really nice guy. But like, I had no experience in high school with any teacher taking any sort of special interest in me, putting ahead any sort of above and beyond attitude towards me. I don't even remember the names of
most of them.
Most, if any, of my teachers.
I remember my 4th grade teacher, Miss Woods, and because every now and again I'll like see her around town or something like that. She's pretty hard to miss because she's really, really tall. But I remember her for whatever reason, and I don't remember the name of him, but I remember I had a teacher, and I want to say 5th grade. It was out at in the portable buildings behind Wolfley.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But every Friday, he would end the day by pulling out his guitar and singing that Green Day song. No. Shit. What's it called now? The famous acoustic Green Day song.
That's super cool.
Oh, no. Way before September, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Damn it. Green Day, I used to call one of my favorite bands, but for some reason my computer is...
That's really
Somebody
cool.
in my life completely and utterly ruined Green Day for me, and I refuse to listen to them for the rest of my life. So.
What did?
A person.
Oh, a person?
Ruined the band, yeah.
Yeah, some people can tend to do that in one's life. I'm going to look up this fucking song real quick because I feel like a failure as a human being for not...
I'm sad that
Crossroads or Fork in the Road or whatever it's called.
Something like that. Yeah.
I'm sad that you guys didn't have a teacher experience like that.
No, none.
Well, I think that's the... Is it Good Riddance? Yeah, this one.
Yep.
There we go.
Fork
Definitely can't play more than 2 seconds of that fucking song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the thing.
Infringement.
You can't do more than 2 seconds. You can't have... Like, we could play, I think, that entire song, if I remember right, if we didn't have 2 seconds of dead space in between, like, commentary over it. But even then, it gets a little fucking shady these days.
Crazy.
So I did want to... I mean, we've been doing this for about 2 hours now, so we're going to segue into our kind of typical pop culture section.
For sure.
Because I have a movie, video game, TV, cross-platform fucking question that I think is up for grabs for both of you.
Oh, I
Right?
don't know about that.
So, in today's world, and Jake, so think of this in the video game realm and probably the TV realm. Morgan,
No,
you would
I'm all
probably
about the
think
TV.
about
He's about the movies.
TV and movies.
Oh, not movies.
So,
I love movies.
I hate movies. I hate movies.
there's been this growing movement, I guess, in...
I hate music.
Right? She says it all the time.
But there's been a growing movement lately since probably because of social media and giving everybody a voice, where the consumers of a particular entertainment, whether it's video games, movies, or music, even TV, but people are not satisfied sometimes with the product that they get. And they get super pissed off about this, right? So whether we're talking the ending of Game of Thrones,
I knew that's where this was going.
your fucking Harry Potter movies versus the books.
I'm very happy about that. Oh, one book.
The EA game developer studio in the video game world, and this interaction now that some of these companies, right?
I'm ready.
This is a perfect segue topic.
Yes.
So what do you think about that? How much weight should a consuming audience, an audience, whatever it be, how much weight should their fucking opinions have towards a studio, a developer, or whatever, putting out a product?
Okay.
Jake's ready.
I'm ready for this.
You're right.
So I think everybody individually has their own version of how personally they view each thing when it first comes out. Like, for instance, how they read a series of books and they have their own personal image and connection with this series and with the characters.
Like what you take from it?
Yeah. And it's not, there's no way that's going to be replicated over an entire audience. Everybody has their own version and their own connection.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, this is art, right?
Yeah, yeah. So you cannot,
Art is subjective.
you cannot, as a studio or a content creator, expect to make everyone happy. But you motherfucking better not promise everyone with fucking trailers and videos and interviews and stuff
episodes
and all this
bullshit. That is bullshit.
and all this shit saying that it's going to be the greatest thing ever and the perfect rendition and recreation of your wonderful connection to this. And then when it comes out, it's total dog shit. That is completely uncool. So
Such a Bernie thing now.
it's just bullshit.
I love Bernie. Jake told me I couldn't wear my Bernie shirt.
Thank you.
He said he would not be associated with
I'm
me.
not gonna pee
wearing
on
my
it.
Bernie shirt.
You're wearing a better shirt. It's okay.
So whatever.
Far better shirt.
This was my first choice. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So it's a tough realm. I think that kind of I don't know if I would be able to say that movies, video games, and TV could all be compared in the same way.
No.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Definitely not.
Like
especially when you look at something like EA.
Yeah, like EA and the Anthem game. That was a huge one for me.
Oh, this motherfucker.
Versus Game of Thrones.
You have specific feelings about EA as over.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
he does.
Along with most every.
He does.
I knew this question was formulated in such a way.
Yeah.
That's.
So one of the guests at our wedding is very high up at EA.
Motherfucker's coming to our wedding?
He's coming to our wedding.
Oh, really?
Like very high up, like not VP, but close to VP of EA.
If I bring a copy
And
of
he
Anthem
is-
and smack him in the face with it, is that going to be
He
bad
will
form?
hear
I'm not really
your.
sure.
He will hear your
What's up with the new Madden?
upsetness.
The new Madden.
Oh, Jake doesn't play those. He doesn't know what Madden is.
I know from me.
No, I love Madden. I love Madden. I can help in that arena. So yes, wait
That
till your birthday.
motherfucker right there.
But yes,
Andrew
I got
Wilson,
you.
Yeah, he's a fucking
President,
real cock, that
CEO,
guy.
fucking
What's wrong with the
extraordinaire.
game Anthem?
Okay.
What is not?
So,
What is it?
yeah. So
Can I pause button really quick?
Yes.
They played the shit out of this game.
Yes.
For
a month?
a month. I'm just gonna
is
say
not
that.
a long
Hold on.
time.
Pause. Hold on.
She's like, I
Do you guys share similar feelings?
I
about this
just
game?
want
Yeah, fuck
everybody to know that they played this game religiously for a month.
Yeah, you guys are on.
At
I'm like,
least.
because we like to hang out
jealous.
online, bro.
At
I'm
least.
half jealous,
Like,
bro.
I was watching Grey's Anatomy in the bedroom because they were playing Anthem and I couldn't be on the couch. So, okay, resume.
And weren't you just so happy to be able to watch Grey's Anatomy?
I mean, I was so
Without me
happy.
bitching to you about this
was so
bullshit
stoked.
show that's been going for
Exactly.
15
It
years.
is a great. Hold on. No, it is a
You're
great show.
outnumbered here, man.
No. Where's Carolina? Bring her in.
After I was on with Grey's Anatomy until Asian doctor left, Christine Yang.
Oh,
And then
Christina,
was
I miss her
don't wanna
so
watch
much.
this anymore. So I was on
Christina.
till then, and then I was off it. So.
It's kind of good now,
I'm
though.
halfway
It's like better. It's better.
It's kind of good.
Well, and then I thought about it, and then I found out that her husband got hit by a bus or whatever, and I was like,
Yeah.
then definitely fuck this show.
No, but
Because you're gonna take all those people in the plane crash, and then you're gonna take Asian doctor, and then you're gonna take her husband. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
Like those are all my favorite people. I don't give a shit.
Once your favorite
Like, that's
characters go, there's no reason to watch
all of my favorite characters, not just one, all of them.
they're not all
Except for
gone.
Game of
You just
Thrones.
gotta like turn on an episode. Just try. Just try.
fucking Game of
Just
Thrones.
try.
I don't care about
'cause
a
they're not all gone.
flashback.
They're not all gone. They're not all
Okay.
gone.
So, anyways, with
Sorry, Anthem.
Anthem. So they do
Yes.
the original E3 trailer for this was 4 years ago or something like this, a long time ago. And I remember seeing it, and I just got this feeling from the trailer. I was like, "This has potential." It just looked really awesome.
You sent
was-
it to me. I remember.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
So it was right up my alley of the kind of game I like, the way they described it, and I was like, okay. And since it's from EA, I'm taking it with a grain of salt on what they're promising here. But still,
they do good sports.
yeah. But as the years came out, the years rolled on, and they kept releasing, bits and pieces, and I was still so gung ho about it, and I got all my friends fired up about it, which then made me basically responsible for all them spending $60 to $90 of their money on this fucking game when it
Yeah,
finally came
ever
out.
since No Man's Sky
Yeah.
came out and flopped, I've been like, all right, Jake, yeah, I'll listen to you,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to buy
maybe.
it until...
So I got it drops, and I've got Colin and my buddy Josh and all these guys buy it, and we like play the shit out of it, and it was amazing if you were willing to get past all of the shit that was wrong with it. We were blinded to all the bullshit and just tried to get the best experience and the joy out of it, and it just it fell short and ran out of fun really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was bullshit how EA then treated this company, BioWare, who developed the game, and all the information started getting released through the press of how these people basically suffered in trying to create this, and EA just shitting all over them and forcing them to get this product out that was completely unfinished.
Yep.
Which is basically a trend now. These giant AAA titles that come out with all these promises, and you spend $60 to $80 to $120
I hate that shit.
of your money with all these promises of it being the best game ever, and they're unfinished, they're unpolished, and there's no longevity, and you could play them for a week or a month, and then they're done.
And so,
And it's becoming a trend that's super fucking uncool.
So what was wrong with this game in particular? Was it that you couldn't play it for very long?
Yeah, EA had. I mean, Anthem had an astounding amount of bugs. Like it was basically, it was worse than a beta. It was like an alpha version of the game was released to people. The bugs and the loading screens and the bullshit you dealt with. There's no way a game that unfinished and unpolished should have ever been released to the public.
That's crazy.
Yeah, from start to finish, like one of the major problems I had, and a lot of people had, some people just kind of got lucky, didn't experience it, but was like trying to join a lobby with your friends, right? Trying to join up together so you can go out and play this game together as it was meant to be played. Yeah. Right? You would spend, so you'd be trying to join, and then it would just drop you. Say network error. You know, you do that multiple times. You'd be in the game, and then all of a sudden you'd drop. Network error. You know, all these different things. But it would take
their
me...
servers were shit.
Yeah. Just 15 to 20 minutes sometimes between the minute I turned my PlayStation on to where we were actually grouped up in a party, and then we could go. Yeah. Just because we're waiting for all the fuckery to just run its course, and then we'd get in. And there was no... The storyline had a lot of potential, but it was extremely flat, and it didn't get you excited about anything. The environment was beautiful, but no real substance. Yeah. You know, there's just so many different things. Yeah.
Which again, there's 1,000 mediocre to shitty games, movies, and shows that are released every day. Oh, yeah. But it's the fact that a major publishing studio that has been put out something like synonymous with amazing titles over the decades, would put that out and then promise you that it's like going to be the greatest experience of your life and convince you. I spent $90+ on like this legendary edition, like 9 months before the game even came out. That's how on board I was. Yeah. And so for them to get that product, it's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit to get that.
And I think for people that don't play video games, so for Morgan, imagine if...
So for you.
Yeah, for you. For the people in this room. Imagine...
She's really good at Mario Kart. Man, she's scared.
You know,
Mario Kart, though.
If every Harry Potter...
Thank you.
I mean, you have a problem between like the movies and the books when it comes to Harry Potter, right?
Any movie and any book.
That's not true.
So, wait, no, I want to hear about that.
Okay, so...
You can ask your question first, but I want to
I think it's a good time.
Yeah, she's good.
The worst movie in your mind is Order of the Phoenix, correct?
Correct.
Right? So, imagine if...
Because he did not read the book.
So imagine if every single Harry Potter movie was as bad or worse than Order of the Phoenix. How pissed off would you be?
You know what's great is that's not my reality.
Yeah, I know. But that's kind of... I don't have but what I'm saying, imagine that world, and that's what the video game players...
No, I hear you guys. So I totally hear you. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If you don't understand what it's like to be involved in the world of entertainment, of video games, that's something simple.
I understand very sidelined because Jake would be like, babe, Anthem comes out in 10 days. And be like, the next hour. Anthem comes out in 9 days and 23 hours. You know, just like, it's just, I heard about it. And he was like, you don't understand. I'm so excited to play with Colin. Like, there hasn't been a game like this that Colin and I have been able to play. It just, I mean, I heard it. Like, I heard it.
I get excited about it.
So, I totally get, like, I understand. And then when it started sucking, all I heard about Anthem is bullshit that I paid so much money. Colin and I were supposed to have a great time. Like, all this. Donovan was supposed to play with it. Like, he was pissed. So, I get it. I don't get it, but I get it. Yeah. Like, I totally understand.
And EA has had this problem now for years.
Right.
I mean, because they have the licenses for, like, the Star Wars video games, the Battlefield games, like all these major... Yes. And they systematically fuck them up every single time. I mean, it's hard to like find a good analogy for what EA is out in the other world, but it's like this massive corporate entity that
like Amazon.
Is like, it's like, but in the world of entertainment.
Oh,
like Amazon at least puts out good products for Amazon Prime and whatnot.
Debatable.
But, yeah, I think that's really interesting because I played like Battlefield 1 or Battlefield whatever the fuck, and I did have a fuckload of problems with the online, and I never put together that because I didn't play a bunch of EA games, especially online. I mean, but Madden is hard as shit to play online sometimes, and definitely Battlefield 1 was hard as fuck to play online. That I had excellent internet, and it was just laggy as shit sometimes.
Isn't there a new Battlefield coming out too?
Always,
yeah, all the time. It's like Call of Duty; they're always making another one. You know,
I skipped No, I didn't skip, but I left a college class early when I was a nanny to buy Black Ops, like the first Black Ops for one of the kids I was nannying. That's how into it he was.
You are just too good of a person.
What is your beef with Harry Potter 5, the movie?
It's not the book.
That's
like not even close.
That's like the longest one, right? The fourth one's the longest one, right?
No, the fifth one's
the
longest one.
longest one.
Order of Phoenix is longer than...
Yes.
It's long as shit.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Maybe
sure,
not.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's the longest one.
No, I think you're right.
But no, it like order the. I can't explain it unless you've read the book. If you've read the book,
I have. I got you.
Let me know. But like the book is so intricate, and it really the fifth book.
Oh come on!
The fifth book to me really like starts to change Harry Potter, where it becomes a little darker.
That's the one.
And
have you read the Harry Potter books?
I read them up to the one before.
Read it up to 4. So he hasn't read 5.
That's the best one, though.
This is the best book.
Best one.
This
That's
is
also
okay.
the best movie. That's why I like the movie.
It's not though. It's not. And so like Order of the Phoenix is like the turning point for Harry as a character.
And it becomes like you said, way more intricate of a story. Before it's kind of a general, like it's just like a good story, you know.
Yes.
But here it's like
it becomes like a lifestyle.
Listen up, young boy.
This book made me get my tattoo. You know, like this is
when it gets dark.
This is the book. And
were you 18 when that book came out?
No. Oh hell no. I was way younger than 18.
My best friend has a Harry Potter tattoo.
Yeah, I just, it's all the best people have Harry Potter tattoos, in my opinion. But yeah, like there's this huge story that goes with this fifth book, but my brother and I and my stepsister and stepbrother were all in San Diego when this movie released in theaters.
Yes.
We all got dressed up.
Okay.
As characters. I was Ginny Weasley, obviously.
Of course.
My stepbrother was Dobby, the house elf. So imagine that, okay? So we all go into a random movie theater in San Diego. Unbeknownst to us, people in San Diego don't dress up for the Harry Potter movies. So we are legit the only people in that entire theater that are dressed up. No joke. So really and I remember I cried at the end of, like, Evan will tell you, I legit cried because of how terrible that movie was. And I had read the book before. I was so disappointed. I felt betrayed. I felt betrayed. And I was legit ready to, like, write a letter to J.K. Rowling and be like, bitch, you messed up. I was so mad. Like
That's how I felt walking out of The Last Jedi.
I know you did.
Feeling.
I know.
I was, yeah.
That was a rough.
It was really long too, yeah. And then I was like, this movie sucked.
If I was capable of tears, I probably would have cried for that.
I did. I legit like this, but like holding this book just makes me happy. That's just how much I love this.
That's why I brought it over.
And I just.
So let me ask you guys on record what you thought about the last episode of Game of Thrones.
I don't want to talk about it.
So I just finished it again the other day. Actually, like
you watched it again.
So we watched.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We watched the series over again as soon as it ended because we thought we might be able to appreciate it more, right? If we watched if we got everything, you know, because so much time between the first season and the last one.
Yeah.
So we watched it. And then I didn't even give a fuck.
No.
Like I just didn't even give a shit. And
it's so upsetting.
We talked about it at length, right?
Yeah.
And then I forgot another problem that I had before you guys tell me what you thought was after Jon Snow kills Daenerys, right? And the dragon for some reason melts the throne, and I'm like, what is? How does he even comprehend?
He don't.
How does
he doesn't comprehend
the importance of this object? I don't.
That's called a forced metaphor, man.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Was like when we did watch it, we were talking about it. You know, we're like it's almost like. Because he hasn't written the book to end everything, you know? And so they tried to write this show as a book.
Yeah.
But that's the same reason that movies aren't as good as the books, is because things like that, poetic, symbolism doesn't translate to movies as well as it does in books. And you just can't write a show. Exactly. And so when you're doing shit like The Hound and his brother, you know, and they're and they fought on the staircase to nowhere. And then, you know, he dies in the fire. And then, you know, the whole kingdom literally comes down on Cersei and all this stuff. And it's it's the that's too much symbolism for a fucking TV show.
It was written by fucking Muppets, man.
Yeah. So
I don't like the Muppets.
what did you guys think about?
Okay, so I have a very specific memory of being in my living room at the area at the time watching the very first episode of Game of Thrones ever when it aired.
Yeah.
10 years ago or whatever that was.
So long ago.
And I remember thinking, this show is fucking awesome. Like I have huge high hopes for this, and I was totally right. And I've watched it every single time without fail for 10 years straight, each airing. And every time a season finishes, before the next season airs, I would watch it from the beginning.
Yeah.
So if you consider that over 10 years, I've watched the first episode 11, 12 times, you know.
Wow.
In you know, over, if you figure that all out. So I have a huge commitment and love for that story and for those characters.
To the show.
Yeah. And it's the only emotion I can feel now is absolute betrayal from fucking HBO and those writers. It is just
That's rough.
awful. It was so unbelievably awful.
Yeah.
And an utter failure in so many ways of trying to come to a conclusion with all those story arcs.
Yeah.
I've never it's like having a junior high English class deciding to write how that show ended.
I think
how
that's
that came together.
I feel like
While they're learning
way to
about
put that.
Yeah, while they're learning how to be writers, like
Yeah.
I feel like a junior high English class probably would have done better.
it was so
Probably. I mean, these are Hollywood writers, man.
the show. Like we watched the episode, me and Morgan, and just so excited. I got her into it a year ago, so she's now
Almost
watched
2 years
it.
ago.
She's watched all the seasons 2 times through before the last season aired.
Word.
So she was definitely caught up and on board. And we every time an episode would end, we'd talk about it and just get into it. And that last episode aired, we didn't speak through the entire episode.
It was so.
Boom, screen goes black. I just stood up off the couch and
He walked away. Legit walked away.
Oh my
I
god.
didn't say a single word. I went in and just started brushing my teeth.
Yeah.
Like the
my
angriest teeth brushing I've ever had in my life.
His teeth have never been so
I
clean.
was fucking furious, yeah. And I don't think I don't know. I feel strongly enough about it. I don't think I'll ever watch the final season ever again.
Oh, it wasn't worth
Same.
it. It's
Yeah.
not
Oh,
worth
yeah,
it.
no.
No, because I can promise you that you won't get anything else.
No.
Yeah.
It's not any better the second time around. It's just as fucking stupid, just as overwritten and
Yeah.
overplayed, and you're like, God damn it.
In my mind, I have the version of what I wanted it to go through, and that's
Yeah, what did you want to happen?
I wanted the Disney version where everybody happily ever after.
Oh, really?
John and Daenerys get married and rule the kingdoms together, and they're happily ever after, just fucking making little, platinum-haired babies and
Little
no
incest
problem.
babies.
Yeah, I didn't care about any of that. It was that was the version I wanted. It was everybody happily ever after. Cersei and one armed guy they got on their Jamie they got on their boat and disappeared
One arm, he
into
had one hand.
Essos, and they wouldn't live happily ever after on some deserted island, and everybody just it was exactly where everybody needed to be.
No.
Morgan, what did you want to happen?
I wanted Cersei to come out on top.
Kill
Really?
kill
I did.
everybody.
What?
I did.
Oh
I
my
did.
god.
Cersei was my favorite character through that entire series. She was, oh yeah.
She's Cersei.
She was so badass and so like feminine and in her own. And she was just like, bitches, I'm gonna do what I want. Like she owned it. I was Team Cersei forever.
She fucked her brother, though.
I know, but she did it because she wanted to. It wasn't because anybody was making her.
Because
She's
wanted
like,
to.
she wanted that.
Oh my God.
And it's like, okay, I'm not going to judge you for that. You do you.
I love that.
I wanted Cersei to kill everybody and be like, what now, bitches? Come at me.
Come at me.
That is hilarious.
That's what I wanted.
That's interesting.
Can I ask you guys about? I watched this YouTube video this week that was like the scariest, shit that pops up when you watch YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
It was the scariest things that have happened on hidden cameras, or not hidden cameras, but like home security cameras.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
And one of the ones
I ain't watching that shit.
One of the ones I had already seen before, and this is what I want to ask you about. Right, was a dude like noticed food was missing out of his kitchen, so he set up a camera in his kitchen, and there was a bitch living in his attic.
And at night, after he goes to fucking sleep, she crawls out of this attic and eats food and watches TV in his house. And in this video, he gets up and she hears him. And so she like runs into a corner and he gets up and fucks around and like drinks something and goes back to bed.
Oh
and
my God.
she comes back out and then goes up into the attic. And so obviously he checks it the next day and he's like, what the fuck? Like, there's a woman living in my house. There was a woman living like some shit like this, and she,
You're
making me want to check all the.
I'm telling you,
shit in my house.
Fucked up. And I remember the first time I saw it, and I was horrified.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't believe that has ever happened before. That she's just living in his house, just eating his food, and she pissed in his sink, and she had like a jug of piss that she poured out. I mean, it was like a whole deal.
Wow.
Yep. And so the guy called the cops, and like the cops came and arrested her. You know. And I was just like, that's fucked up.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You're checking our attic when we get home.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Even-
Like you're going
Even
right
that
up
fucked
there.
up?
I mean, I will say, I go up there about once a week. Right?
Okay.
Just
And-
to see what's up in there.
Yeah, because that's like a thing that I was like, I don't
Put a
go
padlock
up there
on
for
that
anything,
shit.
you know?
It's freaking me out.
And so I go up there, and then, the little room is like, yeah, whatever, that's whatever. But then it's that crawl up into the actual attic where you have to lift yourself up in there.
Yes, right.
And it's fucking dark as shit.
It's terrifying.
And so every time I go up there, I'm on like fucking hunt mode. Like, I got my flashlight, I'm just looking that way. All right, nobody's fucking living up there. No, ain't nobody up here. Mostly because I know there's fucking animals that are up there. There's a little chipmunk that makes his house up there, and I'm trying to.
Yeah. There was birds up there for a while, which I actually didn't hate. Like, I kind of liked listening to them when they were there.
Scratch around and stuff.
It was like we were doing an outdoor podcast
and stuff. Yeah, but they were little birds, so it wasn't like annoying. Colin would get really irritated. I did not mind
Listening
it.
all the time.
Yeah, he got
right up there.
Yeah, and I didn't mind it at all. I don't like you could just faintly hear it. If we were kind of quiet, then you could just kind of hear it.
It's the nice outdoor peaceful podcast.
It almost just sounded like we had a window open.
Right. Yeah.
It was nice. I did not hate it at all. Yeah.
Much better than a woman living in your attic.
Definitely.
That is fucking terrifying.
Yeah. Have you ever considered somebody might be living in your attic before?
No, I'm too paranoid and cautious already, and like I hear a noise and I check it out with a gun. Like that's usually my one too. That's what I go do. And we are the place we live, like there's no way that anyone would ever think to walk up a mile-long dirt road, find one of the 9 buildings on our property, and then climb into that building's attic.
Right.
And that would be their chosen destination. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but now I'm going to fucking look. So that's it, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, he probably lived like in some type of city somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, fucked up.
Do you want to know something funny? I don't think I ever told you.
Do I want? I don't know. Do I want?
It's a little embarrassing. Okay. So when Donovan and Jordan were coming over for the first time with Dax, right, last week, I gave them the very detailed instructions of how to find our house and our driveway and where to turn and yada yada yada.
If you get a rapey vibe, you're almost there.
Well, and I still pass our driveway.
Oh,
at nighttime.
The first time,
yeah. I still legitimately.
I was like, that was it. And so it took us forever to find a fucking.
And I've been driving on that driveway for 3 years now, roughly. I still miss it. And so I'm coming home from work and I realized I told Don and Jordan our driveway was on the wrong side of the road. And so I texted him as I'm on the driveway. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so dumb. I told you our driveway was on the right. It's actually on the left.
I know where you came from.
Yeah, no, but still, I was like, I'm such an idiot. I cannot believe.
It's a weird unmarked,
Well, and then when we were on our way out there, we got in the car and I told Jordan, I said, so in the text messages, Morgan said this at first, but
actually
she then told me she was incorrect. So you need to remember when you tell me that it's not this, it's really this. And then we totally got down to it. She's like, but the message says this. And I was like, but God damn it. I
the other way.
But God damn it. And she was like, this is really confusing.
Oh my gosh, it's so confusing.
Don't be frustrated. And I was like, I know. It's but God damn it. I said it before we left. Yeah, no, it was a whole
no sense of direction I have not.
And I told her, I was like, I'm not mad because I know that it's confusing. I was like, I totally know that. I was like, I know
the worst.
That. Yeah, I was like, and there's, only so much to be done to try and mitigate that. So
I remember being on that driveway the first time, and it was dark, and Jake was driving. I legitimately thought I was going to be murdered. I mean, it is all trees, and there are wild animals, and it's
Did you tell her before
creepy.
you turned there? I promise I'm not
he
gonna
didn't.
Oh, I did. I think we made a joke about it.
No.
I'm trying to recall the first time you ever came to my house.
Because I feel like I would have to.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we got halfway up, and I had to have tried to joke. I'd probably staring at you really creepily the whole time.
It was
just
creepy. It was creepy.
It is.
I was not on that train.
It is far back there. That's
Hope your will is up to date. Mm.
It was scary.
She was like, when you feel like you've gone too far, like
keep going.
You're gonna feel like you're lost. Like it's fucking far.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, I don't. I told her, I was like, I don't know. Like maybe we should turn around. No. So she said you're gonna feel lost.
Keep going.
Like, is this it? She's like, no, there's no cone. Keep going. Like, okay, all right, whatever.
See, and I've never experienced that because as a kid,
You've been there.
My mom and dad were driving me there, and
That's just where they
I've
live.
always
We
known
played on
where
that
it was.
driveway
Yeah,
for decades.
Because you
A
guys
long
have
time.
always lived on that property.
Mm-hmm.
It's just in the family hill, man, for sure.
it's good. Yeah,
That's wild.
It's a fucking.
It's real
sweet.
wild.
But I remember trying to explain to Carolina the first time. I was like, "So you're probably gonna miss it," but this is. And this is after I drove her there multiple times and told her specifically to pay attention because it's hella confusing.
Pay attention, goddammit.
I will miss it tonight coming home from work. Like that.
so?
Oh yeah, 100%. It'll be. I won't be home.
About it, yeah.
I won't be home before 11. It'll be dark. That highway has no lights. I'm gonna drive right by it. I'm gonna be like,
How many times
Every
out
time.
of 10 do you drive past it in the dark? Mm-hmm. Just in general.
probably 7.
What?
7 out of 10?
Yes, I
Really?
drive by it all the time, which is great because the highway, it's not a busy highway, so I can real quick U-turn and it's not a big deal. But
Girl, I'm suddenly really worried about you.
I'm like, wow.
I drive
how
by it
often-
all the time, you guys.
How often do you drive past your driveway?
Never.
Never.
Well, you got to
Theirs
remember,
is easy, though.
I grew
They have
up
the
in the
fence.
house next door to us.
It's kinda
This
the
has
same
always
scenario.
been my
Well, I know
driveway.
that I only say that because, and this just shows what a nice guy you are, but Jordan was here probably the last time she was here, and she said that she drove past it and then turned around, and Colin said he was like, oh yeah, I still drive past it sometimes.
Oh,
shit.
So you know
what
he
a
did it
nice
because
guy.
he's a good guy.
Yeah, I think that shit all the time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I think
don't-
that's
yeah.
really funny because I've not driven past it in a long time because I
Now I feel like an asshole.
no.
Oh, man.
I'm
Jordan's
so
gonna listen
bad.
to this and
Social
she's gonna
awareness
say
is so
he's so
sweet."
nice. Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
she's gonna laugh
to
and
me,
say he's so nice. That
Yeah.
prick.
that falls into the category of that's a nice little white lie. Just because
Oh yeah.
I know
It's
it's
just a
fucking
thing you
hard to
say,
find,
yeah.
man. Everybody's gonna miss it. Even if I fucking order Domino's pizza in the special delivery instructions, I fucking spell it out pretty well.
Yes.
Just because. I know, and I want my pizza. I don't want you to driveway, bro.
That's the first reason. I'm a firm believer in the best kind of person is the kind of person who doesn't like to see the people around them feel stupid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I feel like shit and feel super uncomfortable when someone in like the conversation or in the room or whatever is feeling like down on themselves about something that they've said or the conversation making them feel stupid. That kills me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate other people that are aware of that for sure.
That's why God bless my wife, because I have this, and I'm sure you have the same problem where I think too objectively a lot, and it pulls a lot of emotion away from something.
It's bad.
It's
really
and it
bad.
can be a fucking dream crusher, and it's and it's really fucked up, and I try not to do that to her, but every now and again it's like I just can't not do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, and
Well, you
I
don't-
get like how you can feel that way, but it's like, wow.
You can't let
I'm a
people
fucking
be
piece
really
of
wrong. but-
Jordan has said to me before, and if Carolina said the same thing, I'm going to laugh really hard. But Jordan has said when we're having a conversation, she said, "I'm not Colin. Like you can't talk to me that way because not in like an aggressive tone or that, but she's like, you can't talk to me that way because I don't think like that. Like that's not.
Yep.
You can't have that type of conversation with me. I think that's really funny. Where
Good
I'm
for
like,
her, yeah.
You're right.
Totally
This is obviously not the place and time for this. Like so, yeah. I think that's really funny.
There's so many times where Jess and Jake does it too now, which is so funny. But I like, you know, we all have our moments. And Jess will just go, "Oh, you're so pretty."
Jordan's parents do
I'm
that,
like,
her mom.
yeah, thanks. Jake does it too now. Like, "Oh, babe, you're so pretty." Thank you. Like, I don't take that poorly at all. Like, I appreciate it.
I love
I'm having a moment.
Now, there was one thing I wanted to plug almost in a way.
What?
And I watched this thing last night on Amazon. I know it's on Amazon Prime. It might be elsewhere, but it's called Oats Studios Volume 1. And this is a collection of stuff. And I want to say Ryan at your work had told me these a long time ago, like back when they were just YouTube clips or whatever. It's all of Neil
Blomkamp's.
Blomkamp?
Blomkamp, I think.
Blomkamp?
I think is how you say it.
You already know about this.
I do.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who
It
knows?
is.
I don't know.
I fucking watched it last night.
Yeah.
It is so good. So this is the guy that did like Chappie and District 9 and was Elysium. Yeah. And it's just a bunch of like...
He did a fucking Anthem short video
Yes,
before
he
the
did.
game dropped. Neil Blomkamp.
Yeah, it was like a 4-minute long thing. And it's so fucking badass.
I've never
But
seen Chappie.
it is...
I've never seen
dude.
any of those
I've
things.
seen
those movies are so fucking good.
District 9 is really good.
And then Elysium is one with Matt Damon, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't seen that one, though. I
seen
heard
Matt
mixed
Damon.
things about that.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got mixed feelings about Matt Damon.
What? Go home.
Excuse me.
I love Matt Damon.
You know, he's all right sometimes, but
Matt
Good
Damon
Will
in his
Hunting?
youth, man, when he was doing... Oh, my God. What's the movie now with...
the Bourne movies.
No, Robin Williams.
Good Will Hunting.
Ben Affleck.
Oh,
Good Will
yeah,
Hunting,
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
That
yeah,
movie
for sure.
is so good.
Of course.
He used
But
to
I'm
be
talking,
so
you know,
good.
Now. I'm talking about now.
Now
you
he's
know?
mediocre.
Now he's doing
He's
movies
Matt
like
Damon.
Downsizing. And
Okay, that was what I was going to say. What the fuck, right? That movie was shit.
Okay.
He's getting
That
up
movie,
there.
go home.
like-
That movie was shit.
they marketed it as like this comedy, and it was like they tried to hit on some weird
Sad.
emotional notes.
It was
and
sad. It was
depressing,
real
and
sad.
It was weird.
I know a movie's not good when I fall asleep at home watching it.
Okay, that's me every movie. That's
you-
why I don't like movies.
Have you ever
good
walked
when I
out
stay up.
of the theater from a movie? Do you guys have any?
Oh,
have you ever done that?
almost.
I only have one.
No, I've not walked out, and I'm generally pretty hard on to, like, if I start a movie, I'm going to finish it. But the last one I remember, like, turning off was, like, Adam Sandler made, like, a cowboy movie that was a funny movie on Netflix.
The ridiculous.
Yeah, that I watched.
Oh,
It's terrible.
That I watched less than an hour of, and Jordan and I were watching it, and I turned it up, and she was like, "Oh, we're done," and I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm not watching it.
Yeah, we're
No,
done.
I'm done. I'm not watching this movie anymore." But I don't think I've ever walked out, because the same, especially now that I'm grown, like I'll fall asleep in a movie theater.
No problem.
Yeah, no, if I don't give a shit, I'll fall asleep in a movie theater.
This
I
is a
don't
good
give a fuck.
opportunity to get a nap in.
Even if I drink
Yeah.
a fucking 3/4 of a giant soda, I'll still fall asleep.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
give a fuck. Yeah.
Trying to find the name of that fucking
Why have you
movie.
walked
what
out
did
of
you
a movie
walk
theater
out
before?
of?
I walked out of Pathfinder, which I'm sure
Isn't
none
that
of
a
you
car?
have seen or heard of.
It is a car.
It is a car. Yeah, my brother
Yeah.
had a Pathfinder. That was the only. That
It's
was
a
the biggest
car.
car accident I've ever
What
been
was-
in. I was in a Pathfinder.
What was
There
that
it
one
is.
about?
So Pathfinder was with the guy who played. He's been in so many random sci-fi fantasy movies. He's always like a side character. Lord of the Rings. He was like one of the writers of Rohan, one of the horse guys. And
Okay.
I can't remember his fucking name, but anyways,
The
he's
blonde guy?
Yeah,
Okay.
beard.
Yeah, I gotcha.
He plays the Doctor in the new Star Trek movies.
Okay, yeah.
Yes,
I gotcha.
okay. So it's like this weird, almost like caveman era, plus it's like caveman and Viking era kind of mix. I don't know what they're doing. But anyways, Vikings come, wipe out his village, and it's him like taking revenge on these Vikings, and it's awful. It was the worst movie, the worst acting ever, and I couldn't stomach it anymore. And I wasn't.
You left?
Wasn't tired enough to take a nap, so we got up and left. Like 3 or 4 of us just got walked out. And I wasn't going to ask my money back, but I told the guy. He's like, when we were walking out, he didn't even look at me, but I made sure he saw me. The guy at the counter, and I was like, that was the worst fucking movie I've ever seen. I can't believe you guys are charging
The movie
people to see
was
this.
shit.
Yeah, the popcorn was delicious, but I'm leaving. So
That's funny.
Have you walked out of a movie before?
No, but it was real close. And it was this, I just looked it up because I forgot what fucking movie it was. Dragon Wars.
You went and saw that shit in theaters?
Yeah, baby. And so this was the context because I think that's important.
Yeah.
you remember my old roommate, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and his parents lived in Mass, and we were down on Long Island. We were roommates, and so every now and again, we both had a free weekend. You know, like we used to have like every other weekend we'd have 3-day weekends, so we'd like just hop in the car on Friday and drive up and stay at his parents' house for the weekend. And one night we were trying to figure out what to do. We're like, hey, well, let's go see a movie. And the only movie theater in town was playing like 2 or 3 movies, really small town. And we're like, well, this all look like crap, but we're both like sci-fi nerds. Let's go watch this Dragon Wars thing. I've never heard of it. And it was so bad that I would have walked out other than the fact that there was just nothing else to do.
What was it about?
It's these 2 it's like a crappy old school Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
And it's just these 2 super CGI'd like snake looking dragon things, and they're just tearing through, you know, causing mayhem and fighting each other. It was the stupidest fucking movie in the world.
That's horrible.
It was terrible.
The first movie I fell asleep in was the last Chronicles of Riddick movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I had only seen Pitch Black, and Jordan hadn't seen any of them. So we didn't know what was going on. We used to just go and see movies all the time. Like, that's just what we did. And so we were obviously starting to run out of movies to see. So we were like, well, let's just go and see this, you know? And we didn't know what the fuck was going on. And it was just so fucking stupid. It just, he's just fucking.
That guy is in that movie, the Pathfinder guy is in
So he fucking, you know, I don't know, he's like battling shit on a planet and it's like by himself for most of the movie. And then a couple other people. It's horrible. And I fell asleep and she woke me up at the end and I was like, did I seriously fall asleep? And she's like, yeah, that movie was terrible. And I was like, God damn.
You wasted $13.
It's like, yeah, I was like, that sucks because I probably paid this time. Like, that's, we used to take turns. We went out so much. We would take turns just like buying dinner and like going out to movies, you know? And like, I'm pretty sure I paid that time. I'm just like, fuck. I wasted my own fucking money on this terrible movie.
Okay, so I have one more movie thing. I know Colin loves this movie.
I love terrible movies.
No.
Yes, he does. They're both
shit tasting movies.
No, this is a universally beloved movie that I love. Colin, I know loves because we watched it growing up. Do you enjoy the movie The Labyrinth with David Bowie? Fucking great movie.
Yeah, The Labyrinth is fine. Okay. I wouldn't be like, I love The Labyrinth.
Dude, it's so good.
But if I went to your house and we're going to have dinner and you're like, yo, I'm going to throw on The Labyrinth, I wouldn't be like, no, I don't want to watch that fucking movie.
Okay.
Oh, I would.
So this is my point.
And I might second
like
her
2
protest,
hours,
but I would not be the first one to be like, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
I will.
So I made a questionable choice because when I met Morgan, she disclosed to me, because I love movies, that she just doesn't like movies. She doesn't watch them. She doesn't really enjoy them. And we were sort of...
Is it because they're too long?
I fall asleep.
So
I get
reasons.
bored. I'm like,
so
there's so many other things I can be doing with my time. Why am I sitting here?
And so I'm like, oh, fuck this. And so I open my disc collection and I'm going through these and I'm naming off some of my favorites. And one of the first ones I get to in there is like Labyrinth. I'm like, Labyrinth's like, I haven't seen that. I'm like, what the fuck? You've never seen a Labyrinth? And so we put it in and she doesn't speak through the entire film, watches the whole thing. And at the end, I'm just like, wasn't that like amazing and life-changing? And she's like, oh, this is the fucking stupidest movie I've ever seen. And I was so offended to my core because I love, that movie was like this classic from my childhood that most people my age love The Labyrinth. I've never met anyone who hated it.
Age.
It's like the Dark Crystal.
Term.
You know?
The Dark Crystal,
fucking,
great film.
That's great too. They're making a Netflix show.
I'm so excited.
Legend, you know?
Exactly.
Or, you know what I'm talking about?
Puppets before CGI.
Yeah.
Man, that was the shit back then.
Or fucking...
But I've given her...
The Never-Ending Story. Like, all those things are
I like
right
the
in
Never-Ending Story.
Yeah.
But you don't like The Labyrinth?
But I hate The Labyrinth.
You're confused,
The Never-Ending
girl.
Story is more broadly accepted than any of those other movies. But first time I ever smoked pot, I watched Labyrinth. So I do have a small soft spot in my heart for, like, I remember being fucked up high and watching Labyrinth.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, what's better than staring at David Bowie's package for 2 hours?
And that's why I was like,
a lot of
things.
things.
Pretty young.
So
like,
many things are better than that.
But I appreciate now that it was
like
that way. But
That's like a thing. I never noticed that when I was a kid. Never noticed
that
it,
it was
right?
David Bowie.
How?
Well, no. That it,
Or
I mean, it was
his
just
dick
shots of his
is so
package.
heavy.
I was like, it's so ridiculous.
They really want you to know
pant
about his
area.
cock.
But every time I watch the
yeah.
movie as an adult now, I can't not see it, and I'm going, God, it is so blatantly just like the camera is just on it.
It's there the whole time.
While. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? So that kind of is a perfect segue to one more question I wanted to ask. Mm-hmm. What is the best, worst movie that like you've ever seen that you love, but you know is a crap movie or TV show? It's like a guilty pleasure that you know sucks, but you fucking love that movie.
You know sucks?
Yeah.
I have, embarrassingly so, I have an all-time favorite movie. Number one. And I love so many movies.
I have
a number one all-time favorite movie, and it is, I don't think a lot of people like it or think it's very funny, but I love it, and that's Grandma's Boy.
Oh, Jordan loves Grandma's Boy.
We
have 2 copies of Grandma's Boy.
Yes.
So much.
I had the DVD.
She's going to love that you said that.
I watched the DVD so many times that it literally stopped working.
Do you want to know something really funny? Just yesterday, Jordan and I were coming home from the arena, and we're talking about different people that we enjoy hanging out with. So we're talking about you guys, and she mentioned specifically that she felt like you and her had whatever, some type of something in common, that she was like, I think like me and that guy could be friends. It's really funny that you say that because she fucking loves Grandma's Boy.
I love it.
So Jordan, you guys are all in our kitchen the other day. And what the hell? Somebody said something. Colin and Morgan were talking, and I was kind of standing off to the side. You guys were, everybody's milling around, and you guys were helping her cook, and you were like trying to beat eggs with a spoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Colin goes, Colin says something like, "You don't beat eggs with a spoon," and I like make this. I'm just standing off to the side where no one can obviously hear me. And I go, I'd beat your eggs with a spoon. And nobody hears it. And Jordan to the side of the room, she's like, I see you. And I was like, yeah, girl.
That is so good.
That was pretty funny.
That's hilarious.
So funny.
So, a terrible movie that, well, one of my favorite, Mean Girls. I love.
I was gonna say Mean Girls too.
A lot of people talk shit about Mean Girls.
I was gonna say Mean Girls.
It's also like loved by a huge.
But yeah, but I'll watch Mean Girls like anytime.
Yes. Yes.
I love it.
I wear something pink every Wednesday because of that movie.
I could. Wow. Jordan will
something
tell me a
pink.
terrible movie that I like. Let's find out.
Oh, snap, crackle, pop.
She's like at the Rite Aid or down over there. She just said, yeah, we're going to a child's birthday. Hello? Hey.
Hi.
Hey, so we're finishing up the podcast. So you're on it right now.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Oh, also, Jake just told us that his favorite movie is Grandma's Boy.
I fucking love that movie.
Yes!
Oh my god. I love it so much that we own 2 copies of it.
Yes!
Right up to the.
It's the greatest movie ever made, for sure.
So Colin.
I'm sure that's not what it's called.
No, Colin asked us a movie that we love that is generally terrible. And I couldn't think of one, but I'm sure that you know a movie that I like that you think is fucking horrible.
Oh, don't put me on the spot like that.
Oh, I thought that you could help me out. That's the only reason I did this.
No.
I mean, we're generally against cutting things, but I guess like if you really need me to, we can.
I don't know, a movie that you like that I think is really bad.
Yeah.
Do you like that fucking Scott Pilgrim movie?
No. Oh, fucking Tusk. That's probably the one that I would have to. That's like.
More weird than bad.
That's my shit that people fucking hate. Yeah.
I hate that movie. I love Kevin Smith, love everything he does, but that one makes me so uncomfortable and
I
will not watch it with him. He lures his friends into watching it with him. He's like, yeah, you wanna hang out and smoke a bowl? We can watch this movie.
And I got
I think they have no idea what he's getting them into, and then they go home traumatized and way too high.
That makes a lot of sense.
I love her so much.
And I got our brother-in-law's brother was in town for a while, Keegan, and he was hanging out with me one night, and I just put on Tusk. I didn't ask him, I just put it on, and we were just smoking bowls and bowls and bowls, and he left halfway through, and the next day he told me, he was like, that movie was fucked up. I was like, that's like one of my favorite movies, bro. It's like that movie. Okay, well, thank you.
No, I feel like I'm the one who likes terrible movies. I watch the same movies over and over again.
That's my shit.
Crybaby.
You guys know that movie?
No,
Johnny
of it.
Depp?
Yeah, I know of it.
Oh my god, go home and watch it, you uncultured swine.
Yes.
It's pretty alright.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's great.
Now I'm on the show in Rite Aid, so I should go.
Alright.
Alright, well, I love all of you. I hope you had a fantastic time, and I will see you soon, baby.
Alright, I love you.
We love you.
Bye, Jordan.
So
Bye.
loved.
Oh, that was perfect.
So there you go. That's a Tusk. It was probably that. I don't know that I've met anybody that.
So I put Tusk on my Netflix watch list because Colin many months ago mentioned how much you enjoy it.
Like it. Yeah.
And so it's been on my. But I'm kind of nervous to pull the trigger on that because I have a hard time with those really gross, gory,
it's pretty fucked up, and I don't think that it's like excessively gory, but there's some pretty dark shit.
The description was kind of human centipede reminding. So
yeah, and it's not as fucked up as that.
Okay, good. I can watch it then.
Because you don't. Yeah, I mean, there's some, shit, but I wouldn't say it's definitely not as bad as Human Centipede. Yeah. I know. I watched Human Centipede before that was like a thing, when it was still like a small like indie film. I stumbled upon it, on one of those fucking apps. And then watched it, and then like 2 or 3 years went by, and people were like, "Have you seen the Human Centipede? Like, it's really fucked up." And I was like, "Yeah, fuck that movie."
Yeah, no thanks.
And then they made a second one, and it was even worse. And I'm pretty sure there's 3, and I definitely haven't seen the third one.
Have you seen The Green Inferno?
No, but I've heard of that before.
It's on HBO Go or HBO Now right now. And if you feel like ruining your evening,
what is that?
Go ahead and watch Green Inferno. It's about a cannibalistic tribe in the Amazon and these tourists that get caught by them, and the horrendous torture and stuff that ensues to these poor European people at the hands of these cannibalistic.
It's just gratuitous.
Amazonian. Yeah, it's fucking horrible, and I'll never ever watch it again. So.
That's like.
Yeah.
Did you watch Bone Tomahawk?
Oh,
no, but you told me about it several times.
Okay, so I usually just say watch it because it'll fucking disturb you when it happens. Yeah. But it's just a fucking generally creepy, fucked up movie, right? But there's this scene where they run in. It's during like the cowboy days, we'll just say, and they're going after these group of like natives that like live in these caves, but because they keep coming into like town and like snatch people up and like fucking murdering people and shit like that. And so they kind of going up after them, and they end up getting captured and shit. They're inside these caves, and one of these like super kind of like grotesque, monstrous, like human hybrid type of thing comes crumbling out of this thing, grabs one of the prisoners, and they fucking splits him in half with this giant axe down the center, in between his legs, and chops him up like a pig getting cut in half. Mm. It is the most disturbing thing I've ever seen on TV.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's really gross.
So
it's crazy the shit that people can make and sell.
Yeah.
Like that's really in the mainstream, like not on like the dark web.
Yeah.
Because you buy snuff films on the dark web, but like real like
in fact, movies, there's an audience that craves that. That's why I carry a gun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That shit's crazy.
Morgan, do you have a best worst TV show?
Bachelor in Paradise.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
That's in Paradise.
There's no elaboration needed on that one.
Some Bachelor in Paradise. I also love like The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Keeping Up with the Kardashians occasionally when they're real crazy shit's going on.
My head hurts just thinking about
All
it.
that reality TV, man, it just makes me appreciate my life so much more. I'm like, you guys are all crazy. I have a great life.
That is a great thing to take out of it.
Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore.
Oh my gosh. I loved Jersey Shore.
I was documenting it on the show because we were watching it.
Yes.
Fucking Rebecca. God damn it, Rebecca at work got me into it. She got me to, she's one of the new office ladies. I think she got there after you did. Yeah, she
was there.
Oh, yeah, she was watching it. And I was like, word, I haven't seen that in a mad long time. Yeah. And we watched all the fucking seasons. Not the new one because fuck that. I'm not gonna contribute to that. But but when it's on Hulu, you bet your ass I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was fucked up.
It was
I love that. Oh my gosh.
Unfortunately entertaining the first few times.
It's really
bad.
Few seasons,
yeah. See, I started watching it, I don't think when it first came out, but early on in the seasons, right? And I watched a couple seasons and I was like, I mean, I don't get it. This is like literally just like life on the South Shore, Long Island. Like, there's nothing interesting to me about this because this is the way there's a huge group of people that are those people that just live that fucking lifestyle and they're everywhere. And so it was just like, this is boring. This is just normal.
And that was, I think, the thing that most people didn't recognize was that they were in the Jersey Shore, but like 3/4 of them were from like Staten Island. Like they weren't from the Jersey Shore. They were vacationing there.
Yeah, that was just the
exactly. And so people like assumed that that's what that area, and I mean, there's shitty people there, but that's not what, like, from what I understand that. Most of the people were from New York, not from fucking New Jersey.
Yeah, New York, Connecticut, that whole little schmegma of New England area-ish. Yeah, it's an interesting lifestyle.
So glad I'm from the Northwest.
Jake had to explain to me what that word meant when we were playing Cards Against Humanity.
That's that's when we learned about it too.
Yeah,
most of the U.S.
I didn't know what that was.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Love.
Go ahead and Google that at home. I'm not going to say it right now.
No, that's not what this podcast is. That's not what this is.
No, we don't do that kind of stuff here. But yeah, I think I was just looking at the time. I think we're getting up there in time skis.
Yeah, and the only sports thing that happened this week, well, football thing, because that's what we talk about, is that Josh McCown retired this week after fucking 17 years.
Yes.
He played with the Jets.
Played with Jets.
Yeah. Played for the... Jesus Christ. The Cardinals, the Lions, the Raiders, Dolphins, Panthers, Niners, Bears, Buccaneers, Browns, and then the Jets.
Everybody but the Eagles. I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah. It's the green and white, bro.
It's the same color scheme. You're good.
Yeah. So he finally retired. And I believe he's going to go into commentating now.
Yes.
He's going to go right into
that was his plan.
Yeah. And hopefully, like, Tony Romo's fucking mad good commentator. I love Tony Romo commentating. He is still, I mean, he was like just a quarterback, so he's exceptionally good play caller and is able to tell at least half the time. Like,
as long as it's not Joe Buck, I'm cool.
Anything to get rid of Joe Buck, Troy Aikman,
like Joe
those
Buck?
guys. I'm sick of those fucking guys.
Who does?
I don't like Troy Aikman because Troy Aikman hates the Seahawks.
Yeah, that's
why.
right.
He has a genuine distaste for the Seahawks, but for some reason he's always, color commentating their games.
He looks like
it's so annoying. Just get him out.
So picture a Caucasian Jay-Z the next time you're looking at it. You'll never unsee it, man. You'll never unsee it.
It's actually so true.
That's so crazy.
For real.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So which network or whatever is Tony Romo commentating on? Or is he kind of a
CBS,
rotating?
I think. Yeah, I think CBS is.
I don't know
doing
how that
Thursday
world works.
night,
I think
right?
so, yeah. Jason Witten is he's going back to football because he retired and commentated for, I think, 1 year.
Yeah.
And I heard on Tell 'em Steve Dave, and so it may or may not be true, that they just got so many negative reviews about him that he was like, I don't want to do this anymore, and just went back to football. But he was exceptionally bad at being a color commentator. So
that's rough.
It does not surprise me. But yeah, he's going to go back and play football in Dallas.
Interesting.
There you go.
So a little bit more time for Jason Witten. That's it. We talked about the
It's like
Seahawks
the Brett
earlier.
Favre retirement. It just it kind of happens, and then it doesn't, and then it kind of happens, and then it doesn't, just back and forth. Now he's finally done, but
Do we know why Wilson wasn't at training camp the first week or two? He wasn't there, was he?
He was in
I don't know.
Europe. He was in Cairns with Sierra.
Because the first ones were OTAs.
Yeah.
So those are non-mandatory. They're just organized team activities. Training camp.
For the newbies.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's like...
There were a couple of them that showed up, though.
Yes, yeah. Like Bobby Wagner was there but didn't practice.
Lockett was there, too.
Yeah.
There were a couple of them that showed up.
I think training camp starts in like 2 weeks. They're selling tickets to it. I'm sure they're all gone already, but...
I wanted to go to training camp.
Do you get them because of season tickets? Can we get those?
You might get on like it's a first come first serve thing because you just sign up for it and you meet like in a parking lot somewhere, and then they bus you to the practice facility.
We gotta go some year, guys. We
gotta
do it.
And so the only reason I didn't jump on it this year is because I would like to do it with Dax.
For sure.
Take him with these fucking
absolutely.
8 or 9 and appreciate it. So that's definitely 100% at those times will be days where I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to work this day because we're going to training camp. We're going to go and do this because they they answer questions, they sign shit. It's like a whole deal when you go to training camp. So
it's like Disneyland on crack.
Yes. But I am certain I will do it at least once or twice before Dax is able to go.
I want to go so bad.
You and I will training camp it the fuck up.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So I'm going to tell everyone that because we're doing a new set of lines, right? If you're ready, unless there's anything else you want to throw into the show.
I think right before we do that, just want to say thanks again, guys, for coming.
Fuck yeah.
This has been fucking awesome.
Sure.
Anytime.
Super fun.
You guys are incredible.
Maybe anytime.
Show.
Yeah.
I like bullshitting with you guys and
hell yeah.
in my normal life, and this is just
putting it in front of the mic.
Yeah.
No, this is nice.
So it's just what we do on a Saturday night with a bottle of wine.
Good break every once in a while is nice.
For sure.
So I had to start a new set of lines because Haley figured it out. I gotta get that bitch a shirt. But I have one for her. I just haven't seen her since she figured it out. So, excuse me. So I'm not gonna do a TV show. I'm not gonna do movies. I'm gonna do a theme for the new lines, right? And I think that that's as detailed as I'd like to be about it. But the theme is not like, so if you tell me, oh, this line is from this movie, like you don't win. That's not it. Or, you know, or I don't know, you know, like that doesn't win. So it's the theme of like what these lines are, not what movie they're from or like.
So you gotta listen a few times.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely won't be anything you can guess the first time, or it might even take 3 or 4 before someone can be like, oh, now I fucking know.
Roger.
But it's the same type of idea where you have to have kind of heard these things, you know, to hear it and be like, oh, fuck. That's what it is. So, so the first one is that I look like a fucking beluga whale.
Those are really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.